Chapter 1. In the Dead of Night. At Green Bamboo Upper Class Area, Jinhai City. Shi Feng held a folder of documents as he sat silently on the leather sofa. Gazing at the pool outside through the French window, Shi Feng was filled with both frustration and unwillingness. He was the captain of Shadow, one of Jinhai City's top 4 gaming workshops. He had commanded a guild of tens of thousands of people. Even more, he was Jinhai City's famous expert. He was the sword magician. However, now the only thing he could do was drink away his sorrows inside his home. 10 years, he had spent in gaming. 10 years, he had fought in blood-soaked battles. He experienced countless trials and suffering. Under his leadership, Shadow had successfully established 10 city-states in less than God's domain greater than. They were finally capable of rivaling the first-rate guilds. However, before he could enjoy any of that endless glory, a single document had turned everything into passing smoke. Once it was gone, it was never coming back. Shi Feng never thought his 10 years of effort would just go to waste. He sacrificed so much just for the game, and yet, all he did was pave the way for others to the very end. All of this culminated because he had opposed the decision for Shadow to join the Super Guild, World Dominators. It wasn't even the next day before Lanhua Financial Group gave him their reply. He had to delete his level 200 Sword King, the account he had spent 10 years of blood and sweat on, and to collect his settlement check from the financial department. All he received was 5 million credits and a single mansion. When compared to the established 10 city-states inside the money-generating virtual kingdom, it couldn't even be considered a drop in the ocean. Shi Feng thought about how much he had contributed to Shadow. He thought about how his efforts had turned Lanhua groups into a large financial group. Then, he thought about how they still threw him away, as if he was no different from garbage. Shi Feng swore he would take revenge for their actions. "I won't just let this go. At worst, I'll just start over." Shi Feng's eyes flashed with confidence and resolution. His hands tore the termination contract into little pieces. Grabbing the bottle of wine from the tabletop, he gulped down several mouthfuls. Even if he no longer had his Sword King account, even if he no longer had his team's support, the skills and knowledge he obtained from the game would not betray him. As long as his skills remained, he could still rise once more within God's domain. He could rebuild a virtual kingdom of his own. Early morning. The sun had just risen. D. 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 The phone alarm continuously rang. Shi Feng woke up resentfully. He helplessly reached for his phone by the bedside. The effects from yesterday's drinking still loomed over him. "Hey, what's up?" "Brother Feng, it's me, Blackie." "You're still asking what's up? Didn't we agree to become professional gamers? Shadow Workshop is recruiting at our school today. Haven't you always wanted to become Shadow's core member?" Shi Feng was slightly confused. Lanhua Financial Group just fired him, so why would he attend Shadow's examination? "Brother Feng? Brother Feng? Can you hear me? They're testing at 10 o'clock. If you don't hurry up, you're not gonna make it." "Blackie, stop joking around. I just got fired from Shadow." "Fired? Brother Feng, how much did you drink yesterday? Even now, you're still not awake? How could you be fired if Shadow hasn't even recruited anybody until now?" "Alright, just come quickly." Blackie had cut the call before Shi Feng could respond. When Shi Feng looked at his phone in a daze, he discovered that this old and broken-down iPhone 6 was not his phone. His phone was the latest iPhone 12. Immediately, Shi Feng inspected his surroundings. What met his eyes was a messy room, no larger than 15 square meters. All around, there were books on gaming strategies. At a corner of the room, above the study table, there was an extremely outdated laptop. Within the wardrobe by the wall, there were clothes messily piled together. Inside the wardrobe, there was a mirror that currently showed a familiar face. Shi Feng jumped up in shock when he saw this extremely familiar face. How have I become young again?
Shi Feng immediately walked towards the mirror. Only after looking at the mirror, at the reflection shown on it, over and over, did Shi Feng confirm that he had indeed become young again.
He slept in his luxurious and spacious bedroom yesterday, but now he was in this broken-down place after waking up. Not only that, he also had become young again.
Shi Feng could still recall some memories regarding this place. He had lived here 10 years ago. For over 6 months, Shi Feng rented this place in reluctance, all so that he could play God's domain while also attending university. Only after he had earned some money in God's domain had he rented a large condominium. Shi Feng thought back to those arduous years. His family circumstances at that time weren't in good shape. For Shi Feng to attend university, his parents had racked up some debts.
Even so, Shi Feng's parents still made sure to send him sufficient living expenses every month, taking on the suffering, themselves, in return. Shi Feng wholeheartedly wanted to change his family circumstances. However, finding a well-paying job while the streets were filled with university graduates was tremendously hard. So he thought of the highly profitable virtual reality games. Setting professional gamer as his goal, he even bought a virtual gaming helmet, training arduously within the game to improve his skills. During that time, bread and instant noodles became his daily meals. To save money, he had also avoided participating in social gatherings held by his classmates, causing him to become an invisible existence in his class. The boys would look at him with disdain, while the girls would distance themselves from him. Every time Shi Feng went shopping for cup noodles, his wallet would have no more than 10 credits.
He did not even dare buy a ham sausage that only cost a single credit.
In pity, the female salesperson there had offered him the ham sausage at a discounted price. However, the feeling of his empty wallet made Shi Feng refuse with great reluctance.
Is someone playing a prank on me?
Shi Feng stared at his younger self through the mirror and at the familiar surroundings. Shi Feng couldn't help but shake his head, denying such a conclusion.
Even America, as the world's most developed country, didn't have such rejuvenating technology. Besides, who would play such a joke with a poor old uncle like him? Shi Feng looked at the time on his phone. 19th April 2129.
Don't tell me I have been reincarnated? Shi Feng's face revealed a bitter smile.
He remembered today was the 5th of August, in the year 2139.
It couldn't possibly be April of 2129, the year he was still attending university. Shi Feng shook his head, trying to wake himself up. Yet, deep down, he still held onto a thread of hope, wishing that he could be reincarnated, returning to the time 10 years ago.
He walked towards the desk, powering up the laptop. Even if the time on his phone could be faked, the information on the internet definitely couldn't. After surfing the web for several minutes, Shi Feng was utterly devastated. All the information he found on the internet showed that today was 19th of April, 2129. Even the highly anticipated official release date of God's domain was clearly displayed on its official site, counting down to 6 days from now, the 25th of April. I really have been reincarnated. Did I really come back to 10 years ago? Shi Feng firmly stared at the news report of God's domain, emotional tears leaking from the corners of his eyes. Shi Feng's feelings were hard to describe at that moment. He felt both regret, sadness, and joy. It was as if everything before him was just a dream. Nonetheless, the chirping of insects and the cold wind blown from the air conditioner told him otherwise, that everything was real. Looking at his phone, at the family photo he took when he entered university, Shi Feng never realized that his parents had white hair. The corners of his mother's eyes even had wrinkles. They were no longer as lively as before. They were truly old now. A year and a half had already passed since God's domain's release when Shi Feng noticed how aged his parents were. The large amounts of debt, excessive laboring, and stress had caused both his parents to fall ill, gravely ill. Curing them required millions of credits, but, during that time,
Shi Feng was merely a squad captain in shadow.
The money he earned was far from enough to foot such expensive costs. Shi Feng tried everything to collect enough money, yet it was still not enough. Even with trying his all, Shi Feng's parents still left him a few months later. In his previous life, he failed to care for his parents properly. How could he have known of the pain and suffering?
After Shi Feng earned millions of credits, this pain remained within Shi Feng's heart for forevermore. Never would he have thought fate would play such a joke on him.
He unexpectedly returned to the starting point, starting back up from zero. Great!
This is just too great.
Ha ha ha!
Since I have been reincarnated, I have to change everything.
I will earn enough money to cure mom and dad, and I will let them live a life without worries.
Shi Feng silently swore to himself as he wiped away the tears. Just when Shi Feng was planning for his future, Blackie's call came ringing again, continuously urging Shi Feng to go quickly to the university for the test. Yet, Shi Feng did not rush.
He dressed at a relaxed pace, tidying himself up before heading to Jinhai University. He could not be more familiar with shadow. Shi Feng still remembered.
It was while he was still attending university, Lan Hua Group's prized son, Lan Hailong, started up Shadow Workshop to enter God's domain.
Lan Hailong also invested considerable funding into the recruitment of the student experts of Jinhai University.
Shi Feng participated in Shadow's examination at the time, successfully becoming a core member of the workshop, whereas Blackie became an outer member. Shi Feng had been happy for quite some time after that incident. After 3 years of being under the leadership of Shi Feng, Shadow Workshop allowed Lan Hua Group to greatly profit from God's domain, quickly becoming a large financial group. However, Shi Feng would never have thought that Lan Hailong would be the one to fire him, personally. Since he had been reincarnated, he had an absolute advantage within God's domain that others did not. Naturally, he would not be joining Shadow to become a tool that profited others.
He wanted to walk a different path. A path where he fought not for others, but for himself.
He wanted to remove the need for his parents to send him living expenses.
He wanted to pay back all the debt they had collected. To do that, he wanted to venture, to start his own workshop, to start his own company, and to build his own virtual kingdom. All to live a better life.
As soon as Shi Feng arrived at teaching block 1, he caught sight of a thin and tall figure in front of the building. The tanned youth was pacing around the hallway in a panic. This person was Blackie. "Brother Feng, you finally decided to show up.
Fortunately, registration hasn't closed yet, so let's hurry in and sign up,"
Blackie said anxiously after seeing Shi Feng.
Shi Feng shook his head, seriously saying, "Blackie, I'm not joining Shadow. I'll be opening my own workshop."
"Will you join me?" Blackie was someone Shi Feng met in another virtual reality game, and the former had pretty good skills. The two of them had faced many challenges together, and they were no different than true brothers at this point. During their time together working in Shadow, Blackie showed great talent in administration, even though he lacked the talent for gaming. He managed the 100,000 guild members clearly and orderly. If Shi Feng had Blackie's help this time, his plans would be one step further. Yet, he would respect Blackie's decision regardless. It was because Shi Feng had nothing right now, and Blackie's family circumstances were not that well, either. Blackie had only chosen to become a professional gamer and join Shadow to earn some credits for living expenses. Blackie blanked at Shi Feng's words, lowering his head in silence.
It was just too sudden.
Not only that, the Shi Feng that he saw today felt different.
Unlike his usual impatient attitude, Shi Feng currently gave off an unshakable and confident aura.
After a full minute, Blackie raised his head to look at Shi Feng. "Brother Feng, stop speaking nonsense.
Do you know how much a virtual gaming helmet costs?
That's 8,000 credits. You also need at least 6 people to start up a workshop. What about the workplace, salary, and everything else? Just the initial startup funds would require 70 to 80,000.
There are also the follow-up investments. That's a lot of credits.
Do you have that many credits right now? Blackie was very aware of Shi Feng's circumstances. He knew Shi Feng's household wasn't well off, so he wanted to persuade Shi Feng away from this sort of crazy thinking. You're right. Right now, I don't even have the credits for a God's Domain virtual gaming helmet. Shi Feng nodded his head in admittance. It was like Blackie said. Even just 70 to 80,000 was considered a small amount. Shi Feng recalled Lan Hailong had spent over 5 million credits for the 100-man workshop he had recruited. He had also spent more in the later stages to upgrade the workshop's quality and strength. Since this is so, rather than take the risk, wouldn't it be safer to join Shadow?
At the very least, Shadow can provide us with virtual gaming helmets. Otherwise, forget becoming professional players. We wouldn't even be able to play the game.
Seeing that Shi Feng understood the core of the problem, Blackie sighed in relief as he pulled Shi Feng into the teaching block. Shi Feng shook away Blackie's hand, sternly staring at Blackie before saying in a grave tone, I still plan on starting my own workshop.
I don't want to be controlled by others.
So, Blackie, will you join me?
Shi Feng would not insist to Blackie since he did not have any guarantees.
He also couldn't reveal the secret that he had been reincarnated.
He could only hope that Blackie would believe in him.
Seeing Shi Feng's serious expression, Blackie felt Shi Feng was acting weird today.
This was madness. Everyone knew you couldn't earn money during the initial periods of virtual games.
Did Shi Feng have some way to make money in God's domain?
Even if they did make money, it would be after a few months.
They did not have that much time to waste. After hesitating for quite some time, Blackie reluctantly answered, I get it. You're the boss. I'll start a workshop together with you, but what about the virtual gaming helmets? We can't play the game without them, right? Shi Feng's tightened brows immediately relaxed as he happily clapped Blackie's shoulders, saying, Now this is my good brother.
Don't worry about the gaming helmets. I recall that God's Domain had a trial period available for university students.
Every university has a distribution point and, as long as you show them your student identification, then, for 10 days, you can obtain a gaming helmet for free.
Let's go and take a look.
What do we do after 10 days? Blackie's tanned face turned ashen, suddenly feeling his future was pitch black. Why did he have to believe Shi Feng? Could it be Shi Feng's confidence and steadiness? There wouldn't be a problem venturing together with Shi Feng, right? What could you do with 10 days in God's domain? They would definitely miss out on the recruitment period of workshops after 10 days. In the end, they still had to buy the gaming helmet, but where would the money come from? Not even a professional gamer with a group would be able to earn 16,000 credits within 10 days of God's domain's opening. Leave the money problem to me. Shi Feng revealed a confident smile as he clapped Blackie's shoulders. Earning 16,000 credits in 10 days was indeed a pure fantasy. However, he had his spirit as a reincarnated person. No matter what the challenges were, he would break through them all, and the release of God's domain was the starting point of his rise. Afterward, Shi Feng brought Blackie to retrieve the virtual gaming helmets. He then used all his money to buy 2 large boxes of instant noodles, placing them under his desk in his rented house. They were enough to last him for over 10 days. After briefing Blackie on some things in God's domain, Shi Feng quietly waited for God's domain's opening. 25th of April, 9 p.m. Within the dark and silent room, a few glimmers of light flickered alive. Shi Feng laid on his bed, gently pushing the start button as he closed his eyes. God's domain, here I come. Chapter 2. To accommodate the majority of players, God's domain could be played while sleeping. Also, the time within the game was different than in reality, where 2 hours within the game was equal to 1 hour in reality. Each day within the game was made up of 48 hours, consisting of 30 hours daytime and 18 hours of night. Not only that, to allow the bulk of working-class people to enjoy the game, nighttime, in reality, was daytime in the game. Shi Feng passed through a multicolored tunnel as soon as he arrived in God's domain, arriving at a solemn
golden temple. A female angel with 4 pairs of wings flew towards Shi Feng. She was only about palm-sized. "Hello, adventurer. Welcome to God's domain. I am the navigation angel, Gabriel. I will be introducing to you the 4 main categories and 12 main jobs. Please choose the job that you like most." With a wave of Gabriel's small hand, an illustration introducing the 12 main jobs appeared in front of Shi Feng. These 12 jobs were categorized into 4 main classes: warrior, shield warrior, guardian knight, berserker; weapon specialist, swordsman, assassin, ranger; healer, cleric, druid, oracle; mage, elementalist, summoner, cursomancer. Warriors specialized in defending against monsters. Weapon specialists focused on physical damage output. Healers focused on healing. Mages focused on magical damage output. Every job had their own style of battle, which was one of the main selling points of God's domain. In his previous life, Shi Feng picked the swordsman under weapon specialists, and he was even known as the sword magician. Shi Feng had already invested too much in the swordsman job, so naturally, he would not choose any other job. He chose the swordsman class he was familiar with without hesitation. Job selection complete. Please designate a name for your character. Yi Feng. Shi Feng chose the same name he had in his previous life. Naming successful. Do you wish to adjust your appearance? Adjustment rate limited to 15%. Thinking about it for a while, Shi Feng chose to adjust his character's appearance by 15% as to not stand out. With this, nobody could recognize Shi Feng if they saw his character, though it wasn't as handsome as the original. Please select a birthplace in the Star Moon Kingdom. A map that displayed tens of cities belonging to the Star Moon Kingdom appeared in front of Shi Feng. The opening of God's domain was globally synchronized. To accommodate for the hundreds of millions of players, the lands of God's domain were incredibly vast, measuring up to 2 or 3 times of Earth, and the kingdoms within were even more plentiful. However, a player's living area and city, in reality, determined the country they would start in, so players could only choose the cities within the country. White River City. Shi Feng did not plan to choose any other cities, so he chose the White River City that he was most familiar with. White River City was Star Moon Kingdom's 5th-ranked city. It was an important city in the north of Star Moon Kingdom. There were quite a few workshops that chose to develop there to avoid the struggles between large guilds. City confirmed. Player will arrive in Red Leaf Town of White River City in 3 seconds. We wish you happy gaming. The sight before Shi Feng immediately blurred as he was sent away. Red Leaf Town. The buildings that were chaotically arranged there had a similar style to the medieval ages. NPCs filled the bustling streets, making them feel as if it was another world. Shi Feng arrived at the front of a church, his new appearance resembling a penniless swordsman. He currently wore a gray novice leather armor and on his waist hung a novice sword. I still ended up in Red Leaf Town, in the end. Shi Feng smiled faintly as he looked at the familiar sight of the small town, confidence welling up within him. At that moment, many players had started wandering around the town, speaking to NPCs in hopes of obtaining a trail for a quest. There were also quite a few players that went out of the village, going out to the wilderness to kill monsters. Every one of them was carrying out their tasks as if their lives depended on it, and they couldn't help but wish they could split their time in 2. Shi Feng didn't pay attention to the other players. With a slight wave and touch of his finger, a player's attribute panel appeared before him. Character: Yi Feng, human. Affiliated kingdom: Star Moon. Title: None. Job: Swordsman. Level: 0. HP: 100, 100. Physical attack power: 13. Defense: 4. Attack speed: 3. Movement speed, 4.
Attributes: Strength 5, Agility 3, Endurance 4, Intelligence 2, Vitality 2.
Free attribute points, 4. Weapon mastery. One-handed sword mastery plus 5. Apprentice rank, increases one-handed sword damage by 5%. Two-handed sword mastery plus 5. Apprentice rank, increases two-handed sword damage by 5%. Free mastery points, 0. Job talent. Swordsman talent 1. Sword-related mastery plus 5. Swordsman talent 2. Obtain 8 free mastery points every 5 levels. Swordsman talent 3. Sword-related skills proficiency increased by 50%.
Skills:
Chop. Active skill. Requirement: sword.
Additional 8 points of damage.
Cooldown:
5 seconds.
Skill level: 1. Proficiency 0/300. Equipment: Swordsman's leather shirt, gray trash. Level 0. Defense plus 2. Durability 10 out of 10. Novice sword, gray trash, one-handed sword. Level 0. Equipment requirement: strength 3. Attack power plus 3. Durability 15/15. Inside his bag, there were 10 pieces of bread and 10 pouches of water. Eating the bread would recover 10 HP per second, while drinking water will recover 10 megapixels per second, and both effects lasted 10 seconds.
Every swordsman started with the same attributes, the only difference being the allocation of the free attribute points. Each player could obtain 4 free attribute points with each increase in level. With each rise in level, the different ways players used these points would result in their own unique style. Strength increases physical attack power and the weight behind each attack. Agility increases attack speed and movement speed. Endurance increases maximum HP and stamina. Intelligence increases magical attack power and maximum MP, and Vitality increases the recovery rate of MP and HP. Every job places emphasis on different attributes. As swordsmen belong to the physical damage jobs, most people would prioritize strength. In his previous life, Shi Feng also made such a choice, adding 2 points to strength, 1 point to endurance, and 1 point to agility for every level. It was a very ordinary and commonplace choice. However, Shi Feng did not plan to do so in this life. Without hesitation, Shi Feng clicked on the plus sign, plus, for agility, placing all 4 free attribute points into it. Shi Feng's agility increased to 7 points. His attack speed changing to 4 and movement speed to 4. This method of point allocation was something not even assassins, who were widely known for their high agility, would do. They would prioritize strength first, as more damage meant an easier time leveling up. Unfortunately, Shi Feng didn't think that way. For melee jobs, agility was the best choice at the early stages of God's domain. This was kept a secret, only being discovered several weeks after God's domain's opening. When it was finally made known, countless melee players couldn't help but hammer their chests in regret. After adding the attribute points, Shi Feng took a look at his surroundings. Only a while had passed before another large group of players were sent here. Green rhombus-like symbols belonging to players filled the air of the central plaza, blocking out the yellow symbols belonging to NPCs. Such a situation made looking for an NPC an even greater challenge. D. Shi Feng's voice communication rang, the caller's name showing Black Cloud. It was Blackie calling. Brother Feng, I chose Cursomancer and was sent to Falling Moon Town. Where are you? Now that he had entered God's domain, Blackie was extremely excited, itching to start his journey quickly. I'm in Red Leaf Town, not that far from Falling Moon Town. I'll help you level up, so come to Red Leaf Town. Shi Feng said. Brother Feng, you must be crazy. Do you know how far Falling Moon Town is from Red Leaf Village? The map says that it'll take me 7 hours to get there.
I'll fall behind all the other players by a lot if I go there. We should just level up on our own and meet up at White River City after reaching level 10. Blackie nearly coughed out blood in anger. Earning 16,000 credits in 10 days was already madness.
Instead of frantically leveling up after entering God's domain, he was asked to waste 7 hours? He wasn't going to do that, even if he was beaten to death. Don't worry. You should just come over.
You'll get back the time you waste very quickly,
Shi Feng said dully.
When Blackie heard Shi Feng's confident tone,
he asked excitedly, Brother Feng, could it be that you have a beta tester's information? God's domain had invited quite a few people to test the game before it opened, and these people were called beta testers. These beta testers could get a hold of first-hand information for God's domain and, although changes would be made to the game, the beta testers would most definitely know more than regular players. What do you think?
Just hurry over here, Shi Feng answered in a mysterious tone, laughing.
Hearing Shi Feng's words, Blackie knew Shi Feng had reliable information, and he couldn't help but get excited, saying, Okay, wait for me, Brother Feng. I'll go there right this instant.
Ending Blackie's call, Shi Feng walked towards a small dark alley of the town. There were hundreds of NPCs in Red Leaf Town.
However, NPCs that gave quests only numbered in the tens, while hidden quests numbered 5, and unique quests numbered only 1.
A unique quest would no longer be available once completed by a player.
The unique quest in Red Leaf Town was only discovered 2 months after God's domain's opening, and it had caused a sensation throughout the entire White River City the last time. As the quest was unique, the lucky player revealed the method to obtain it, earning the envy of many players.
Unfortunately for them, the quest was no longer available, even if they wanted to do it. Of course, Shi Feng wouldn't let this unique quest go in this life. Shi Feng arrived at the dark alley filled with beggars in tattered clothing.
The beggars were like wolves discovering fresh meat when they saw Shi Feng walking over, quickly surrounding him as they begged for food. There was once a player who had given these beggars a lot of food.
These beggars would ask for items after having their fill, and they would ask for more expensive items after each time.
The player had agreed to all their requests, consecutively fulfilling more than 10 of their wishes.
Unfortunately, the beggars gave absolutely nothing in return, causing the player to nearly pop a vein, becoming a joke for others. Get lost!
Shi Feng yelled as he pulled out his novice sword, causing the powerless beggars to quickly hide away.
Shi Feng walked to a corner after the beggars dispersed. A vagrant middle-aged man was lying there.
There wasn't much of a difference between the man and the other beggars, but if there were one, it would be the man's unyielding integrity, as he was the only one not begging for food.
Do you need any help, sir? Shi Feng formally asked the man.
Can you give me some food?
It's been 5 days since I've last eaten, the male beggar responded.
Shi Feng smiled faintly, seriously saying, Unfortunately, sir, I cannot agree to your wish.
A normal person would probably spew blood out in anger if they heard such a reply.
However, this beggar merely let out a sigh, no longer saying a word. However, if you are willing to pay an appropriate price, I can give you the food you need. Shi Feng said. The beggar lifted his head and looked at Shi Feng, his eyes carrying a hint of anticipation as he said, If I had the money, I would definitely be willing to pay this cost, but right now I have nothing.
Although, if you are willing to help me, I will pay you a sufficient price.
Are you willing to help me? May I ask what you want me to do?
Shi Feng questioned.
The beggar said seriously, Please help me kill the mayor of Red Leaf Town, Cross.
Even though Red Leaf Town was just a small town, the town mayor was still a level 15 elite. There were also level 25 guards by his side.
Aside from that, killing an NPC would result in being arrested. Killing the mayor was, without a doubt, a crazy action, and no player would believe this was a quest, as this was no different than telling players to commit suicide.
Nobody would agree to such a damnable request. Alright, I promise you.
Shi Feng unhesitatingly agreed with a smile. System. Unique quest. Sherlock's request, accepted.
Quest details. Kill Cross, the mayor of Red Leaf Town, and bring the mayor's insignia back to Sherlock. Players must not exceed level 10.
Shi Feng turned around and headed towards the town hall, the place where the mayor was staying, after receiving the quest.
Chapter 3. Shi Feng walked on the path towards the town hall, crowded with people.
The less than spacious road was filled with players. They were conversing with the NPCs, taking the chance to obtain a quest.
Such a scene gave one a feeling of arriving at a market. Unfortunately, it was not an easy task obtaining a quest in God's domain.
The main reason being, the NPCs had high intelligence, giving them the capability to hold one-to-one conversations.
Also, players must watch what they say or risk being given the cold shoulder by the NPCs. And there was a tide of players as competition. Obtaining an easily found normal quest was truly difficult.
After more than 10 minutes since God's domain started, there had yet to be a single player within Red Leaf Town to receive a normal quest.
In comparison, Shi Feng's advantage as a reincarnated person was truly great.
Not only has he received a quest, but it was a unique quest, albeit a slightly damnable one.
However, a unique quest's reward was incredibly generous. Even top-tier players who had played God's domain for a month would drool at the reward of this unique quest. As a person who had been reincarnated, Shi Feng had the experience of leading thousands of people while he was in Shadow Workshop.
They had even built 10 city-states. The amount of information on God's domain that was within his grasp far surpassed what the average player knew.
It was especially true when it came to strategies on leveling up and earning money.
These were the must-have essentials for a workshop with thousands of players to grow in strength. Now that he had been reincarnated and was playing God's domain again, Shi Feng wanted to use this information to accumulate a significant amount of advantages. It was all to build a better foundation for his future development. So naturally, he would not be imitating the average player, wasting hours on the streets just to fight over a single normal quest. Even more so, he would not be emulating those skilled players, using their refined techniques to kill monsters in the wild, because, at this moment, there were probably more players than monsters in the wild. What Shi Feng wanted to do was to avoid these piles of players. Hence why he chose the unique quest, which had an absurd difficulty. However, completing this quest required money, something Shi Feng did not have right now. Every player would receive 10 copper coins at the start of the game. Although it was not enough to buy a weapon or equipment, purchasing HP or MP replenishing refreshments was not a problem. When Shi Feng arrived at the front of the two-storied town hall, he was met with a scene of hundreds of people, queuing up into a long line. Regardless of which game it was, the village head or town mayor was unquestionably a target to receive quests from. Naturally, no player would let this chance go. "Hey newcomer, queue up if you don't want to cause a public outrage." From within the queue, a simple and honest-looking male warrior looked at Shi Feng. The warrior held up his hand, pointing towards the back of the line of people. "I'm not here to receive a quest," Shi Feng said indifferently as he looked at the long line in front of the town hall. Compared to the other locations, this place had great order and efficiency. Although it would take more time to receive a quest, it was much better than some who could not receive one at all. The male warrior cautiously looked at Shi Feng. Everybody was frantically trying to receive a quest right now, but there was someone who actually said that he wasn't interested towards it? Not even a ghost would believe that. "I'm honestly not here to receive a quest," Shi Feng looked at the male warrior. Seeing the person's hostile eyes and how he thought Shi Feng had wanted to jump queue, Shi Feng said with a smile, "However, I advise you to receive a quest somewhere else. You'll just be pointlessly waiting here." Why would it be pointless? There were already a few people who came out after receiving a quest. After determining that Shi Feng had no intention to jump queue, the male warrior let out a sigh of relief. He had already been in the queue for over 10 minutes now, and he definitely would not want someone to cut in line. However, hearing Shi Feng's firm tone made him curious as to why he would be waiting for nothing. Shi Feng smiled but did not elaborate. Instead, he changed the topic, saying, "Seeing as you're not a bad person, I'll point you towards a brighter path. Kill mobs in the fields. You'll have a better future than remaining here."
"I'm not going.
There are too many monsters in the wild and I can't compete with those other people." "This place is still better." The male warrior shook his head.
He was not an idiot.
At this moment, there were definitely tides of people out in the field area. With just his skills, he probably couldn't even snatch a monster, so he was better off just waiting here. "That's because you went to the wrong place. If you go somewhere with few monsters, naturally, there wouldn't be anybody to compete with you. Compared to the areas packed with both players and monsters, the leveling efficiency there is several times better. Not only that, the respawn rate of the monsters there is slow, so a single person could easily handle themselves," Shi Feng said with a smile. "Is there really such a place?" The male warrior was excited after listening to Shi Feng. He was extremely interested in such a location. He still needed to wait for more than an hour to receive a quest, and the rewards he could obtain would only be express and some meager amount of money. If he could grind on monsters for an hour unhindered, the express he could obtain would far surpass that from the quest. "Of course there is. I'll give you a preferential price of 20 coppers if you want to go to such a treasured location. Don't mention express. After grinding for a day, the materials you could obtain would earn you more than 40 coppers. If you're lucky, you could make a ton more if a piece of equipment drops." Shi Feng walked closer to the male warrior, whispering into his ears. "You're not tricking me, right?" The male warrior looked at Shi Feng with hesitation in his eyes. If there was such a treasured location, he could definitely surpass the other players by a lot. But 20 coppers was not a small amount. The monsters in God's domain rarely drop money or equipment, so copper coins were incredibly precious. "If you don't believe me, you can pay 10 coppers up front first. You'll know just from trying after you arrive at the spot. If it's true, you can then pay me the other 10 coppers. I'm only telling you this because I see that you're a good person." "Just forget it, if you don't believe me." Shi Feng turned and left after saying his piece. Shi Feng wouldn't be doing this if he didn't lack money. At worst, he'll just use some other method to earn money. Just after walking a few steps away, Shi Feng was stopped by the male warrior. "Expert, hold on a moment. Let's talk about it, alright? Isn't it just a deposit of 10 coppers? Here, take it. I trust that an expert like you won't trick me." The male warrior revealed an honest smile, resolutely trading 10 coppers to Shi Feng. "Seeing your performance, I'll give you a good location. Although this place is slightly far off, there is only a single mage-type level 0 green gnome. It has low defense and a quick respawn rate. Chances are also greater of money dropping. A berserker would be great at killing there." Shi Feng gave the warrior a good grinding location after happily receiving the 10 coppers. The male warrior was relieved when he noticed how familiar Shi Feng was with the wild monsters, even to the degree of knowing the amount of money dropped. He never imagined he would be so fortunate as to meet an expert of God's domain, and not just any expert. Shi Feng might even be a beta tester. The male warrior became even more excited as he thought of this possibility. "Brother expert, do you know a location that drops skill books for berserkers? It's really hard to fight against mobs with only a single skill." The male warrior was more fond of Shi Feng now, even treating Shi Feng as his superior. "It's fine if you want to know, but it'll cost you 2 silvers, Shi Feng smiled. Who would give out such valuable information after only a short conversation? Shi Feng would not unless there was money involved, of course. The male warrior paled when he heard the price. 2 silvers equaled 200 coppers. Not even the average guild would have that much money. "Expert, let's add each other as friends. I'm Lonely Snow.
I'll contact you again once I've saved up enough money.
The male warrior sent Shi Feng a friend request.
Alright. Shi Feng accepted Lonely Snow's request.
Then I'm off to fight mobs, brother expert.
I'll mail you the 10 copper immediately after I've saved up enough. Lonely Snow happily parted with Shi Feng, leaving the long queue and dashing towards the grinding location.
Now that Shi Feng had money, he walked towards the fruit stall by the town hall.
Boss,
how much for this tomato?
Shi Feng asked as he held up a ripe, red tomato. Both fruits and vegetables could aid in recovering a player's HP and MP.
Their tastes were also quite delicious. The only downside was the bad recovery rate. In normal circumstances, players wouldn't buy them at all, especially during such a period where money was a big problem. Spending money on fruits and vegetables was just wasteful behavior.
2 coppers each. Give me 10 of them.
Shi Feng paid the 20 coppers.
He walked into the town hall after receiving the 10 tomatoes. Hey newcomer, queue up. Can't you see others are queuing up as well?
Swordsman over there, what do you think you're trying to do?
Do you know how many people are queuing up behind?
The players in the queue became enraged and started criticizing when they saw Shi Feng cutting the line, walking directly towards the town mayor. They would have long since murdered Shi Feng, were it not for the fact that they could be jailed for attacking another player inside the town.
Sorry, but I'm really not here to receive a quest. I'm just here to take a look. Shi Feng smiled at the players. He turned to look at the fat town mayor, Cross. Cross, elite, friendly. Level 15. HP 2400 MP 1500. There was not a single player who could beat him at this stage. It was not possible, even with a team.
Subsequently, Shi Feng took out a ripe and red tomato, taking a bite out of it.
What is this person doing? Hell! He's actually eating a tomato.
Each of those costs 2 coppers. Such luxury. The other players could not understand what Shi Feng was trying to do. By coming to the town hall to eat tomatoes, was he trying to show off how rich he was? Halfway through his tomato, Shi Feng suddenly threw it towards town mayor Cross Face.
The tomato accurately landed on Cross Face, spreading bright red liquid all over. System. Cross favorability towards you has been decreased by 100 points. Unsatisfied, Shi Feng took out another tomato from his bag, throwing it at Cross. Hypocrite. Fatty. Bloodsucker.
You're not fit to be the town mayor.
Shi Feng kept cursing as he threw tomatoes, whereas Cross favorability kept decreasing. Cross body turned bright red as tomato juice kept flowing down his body.
Adding to his enraged expression, it created an incomparably funny sight. However, nobody within the town hall was laughing. It was exceptionally quiet.
All of the players became slack-jawed and dumbfounded at Shi Feng's actions.
Just after 20 minutes since God's Domain's opening, there was a player that dared to actually attack an NPC, and not just any NPC. He was attacking the leader of a town, the boss of the beginners area. This person was insane.
Wasn't he afraid of being jailed until his death? Did he no longer want to stay in Redleaf Town?
Even taking your revenge on society shouldn't be done in such a way. Just when the other players were expecting the guards to detain Shi Feng or for the town mayor to kill off Shi Feng in a rage, none of these things actually occurred.
None of the players knew that insulting an NPC was not considered an attack.
Hence why neither the guards nor Cross attacked Shi Feng. Shi Feng's actions would only lead to the NPC hating him to the bones, and he could forget receiving quests from the NPC in this lifetime. As Shi Feng's last tomato landed on Cross Face, Cross favorability fell towards hostile.
Cross level became question marks and the yellow marker above him quickly turned a crimson red. Damnable insect.
I'll send you down to hell. The bright red cross roared loudly as he rushed at Shi Feng.
Chapter 4. Town Mayor Cross' furious roar reverberated throughout the entire town hall.
With a high speed, Cross instantly arrived in front of Shi Feng, his fist stretching out towards Shi Feng. The other players were currently reveling in Shi Feng's misfortune, taking the chance to gauge Town Mayor Cross' strength.
Cross was a level 15 elite, and a single slap from him was enough to swat the current players to death. However, Shi Feng was foolish to the degree of actually angering the mayor. Not a single person in the entire Red Leaf town could save him now.
He would be jailed until he was on his deathbed, or he would be chased out of Red Leaf town. However, Shi Feng's surprisingly calm attitude puzzled the other players.
Was he already prepared for death?
When Cross was about to hit Shi Feng, the stationary Shi Feng finally moved.
Like a hunter waiting for his prey, Shi Feng immediately unsheathed his novice sword. With swift motions, he used the sword to defend his body. Pung! Cross' fist landed on the novice sword, sending Shi Feng's entire person flying.
Just as Shi Feng was about to fall, he flipped his body, landing steadily on the ground with the flexibility of a cat. However, his HP had instantly decreased by 84, and the novice sword in his grip trembled uncontrollably. The sword's durability had even reduced by 1 point. The weapon would become useless once its durability dropped to 0.
See! All the players drew in a cold breath. Seeing Shi Feng's troublemaking, they had initially thought of him as a mere rookie.
However, after Shi Feng's recent performance, anybody with a discerning eye could tell he was a very skillful person. Even if Cross had low physical damage as a mage, as a level 15 elite, he could still kill any of the current players in a single strike.
Yet, Shi Feng was alive. He had used his weapon to block the attack, reducing the damage to a minimum.
He's clearly a mage, and yet his strength and speed are truly shocking.
Shi Feng silently marveled as he had looked the lamenting novice sword in his grip. Fortunately, he had added all his points to agility, increasing his attack speed to 4. Otherwise, he would surely be dead by now, having to start his quest all over again. Die, insect!
After failing his strike, Cross was further enraged. Suddenly, his clothes were ripped apart, revealing a body covered in pitch-black fur. Cross had turned into a werewolf with sharp fangs. Every player was shocked at this moment.
Never would they have thought the mayor was an evil werewolf.
Cross arrived at Shi Feng's back in an instant, raising his bright snowy claws and slashing them at Shi Feng's heart. However, Shi Feng revealed a cold grin, even though he only had 16 HP remaining.
Cross' claws suddenly stopped. They were only a few centimeters away from dealing with Shi Feng. Unfortunately, Cross was hit by a level 25 guard's charge, entering a fainted state for 1 second. Shi Feng took this chance to quickly move away.
Just when Cross was about to rush Shi Feng after awakening, he was interrupted once more by another guard. Both of the guards were level 25 warriors. Although neither of them was elites, the damage they dished out was relatively high. A charge, coupled with a normal attack, had quickly taken 300 HP away from Cross. 2 guards had taken away a total of 600 HP, causing Cross HP to fall to 1700 in an instant. As expected of the guards, their attack power sure is high. Shi Feng chuckled as he looked at Cross' sorry state. Guards were the protectors of the town. They were specialized in protecting the town's civilians and resisting against the invasion of evil beings. At this moment, the mayor had transformed into a werewolf, proof that he was not a human, but a spy for the powers of evil. The guards would naturally not let him go, killing him as if he were no different than the monsters in the wild. On the surface, the conditions of Sherlock's request seemed harsh. In reality, however, players only needed to actively attack the mayor, subsequently surviving the mayor's first strike. Afterward was just smooth sailing. The guards would handle the rest after the mayor revealed his true self. In Shi Feng's previous life, the reason this unique quest could shock the entire White River City was because the town mayor was a spy for the forces of evil. This quest had allowed players to have a new perspective towards God's domain. The NPCs were not entirely reliable, as they might be one of the forces of evil in disguise. Simultaneously, the player who completed the quest had shocked everyone with his method of baiting the town mayor. The player had racked his brain to complete the quest and, naturally, he wanted to show off his efforts by revealing his strategy.
Now, though, it was being taken advantage of by Xuanhuan.
As such, Cross was now being attacked by the two guards.
Although the damage dealt by the guards was very high, Cross' target had never shifted away from Xuanhuan.
He continuously aimed to kill Xuanhuan, but, unfortunately for him, the two guards stuck to him like glue. One of the guards used Bone Crusher, while the other used Thundering Strike, causing Cross' movement speed to plummet.
Fortunately, Xuanhuan was able to escape death with his 5 points of movement speed.
Just like that, Cross over 2000 HP was nearly depleted. When the other players saw Cross dying, many of them started becoming restless. They wanted to land the last strike on the mayor. They did not understand why the guards were attacking Cross instead of Xuanhuan but a town mayor who was also a level 15 elite. If he died, he would definitely drop some great items.
Hiding someplace far away, Xuanhuan smiled in disdain in regards to their thoughts. Was the town mayor someone they could have ideas about? Although the mayor had become one of the forces of evil, this was only a part of the quest's plot. In the eyes of the other players, the mayor was still in a friendly state. It was not possible to attack the mayor at all. When Cross only had 100 HP remaining, all the other players started moving. All of them simultaneously rushed towards town mayor Cross. All of them wanted to give the final strike, snatching away the dropped items.
Seeing that Cross was only a hit away from death's door, Xuanhuan, too, dashed out.
Unfortunately, Cross still died under the guard's blade in the end. Not a single one of the players was able to strike at Cross. Although Xuanhuan could attack, he did not want to risk it.
After the mayor's death, he immediately took away the mayor's insignia and disappeared into the crowd.
NPCs within a city would not yield any express or loot if killed. Xuanhuan wouldn't even be able to obtain the mayor's insignia were it not for a quest. Crap! The system's bugged.
Why can't I attack the mayor?
I want to complain. Why didn't the mayor drop anything after death? Some of the rookie players resentfully complained.
A level 15 elite had died before their eyes, yet they did not obtain a single advantage. They simply could not accept it.
Moron. Don't you know you have a friendly relationship with the NPC? Players can't attack an NPC with a friendly relationship. If you don't even know such common knowledge, why bother playing God's domain?
After ridiculing the rookies, the competent players searched for traces of Xuanhuan.
A player who could kill the town mayor in such a way was definitely an expert, someone they should associate with.
However, they could not spot Xuanhuan, even after looking for a long time. They also did not know his name. They could not help but secretly feel pity.
Meanwhile, news of town mayor Cross' death spread throughout Red Leaf Village, creating a sensation amongst all the players.
At this phase of the game, where players were still worrying over grinding monsters for levels, the leader of a town was toyed to death so simply. This was just too mind-blowing.
Not even 30 minutes since God's domain's opening, a news thread appeared on the official site's forums. Mysterious swordsman kills off level 15 elite, Red Leaf town mayor. The leader of a town was actually a werewolf in disguise. Exactly what kind of game is God's domain? This news thread instantly caused a sensation amongst the players. It only took a moment for the number of clicks to the page to go past 10 million. Everyone became interested with this mysterious swordsman. Unfortunately, they could not contact the person since nobody knew his name.
By now, Xuanhuan had already arrived at the dark alley.
Mr. Sherlock, this is the mayor's insignia that you requested. Xuanhuan passed silver-colored mayor's insignia to the beggar, Sherlock.
With the quest's completion, bad news came to both the players who had already received a quest and for those who were currently trying to receive one from the mayor. This was because Cross would not respawn. They would have no place to submit their quest even if it was completed.
Redleaf Town would also no longer have a mayor, though Shi Feng could care less about that. Thank you.
Thank you, so much.
I have finally attained revenge for my friend.
These things should be of help to you. Sherlock passed Shi Feng a delicate little box. Subsequently, Sherlock took the mayor's insignia and left the dark alley. System: Unique quest, Sherlock's request, completed.
Rewarding 2000 EXP, 20 free mastery points, 1 luxurious ornament box.
With a wah sound, Shi Feng became level 1, and he was only 1000 EXP away from level 2. Shi Feng's level became Redleaf Town's top 1, only 30 minutes after the start of God's Domain.
In normal circumstances, the average player required 1000 EXP to rise to level 1. Such an amount required at least 6 or 7 hours of grinding monsters, as each level 0 monster only gave 3 express. Time was also needed to look for monsters, to recover, and so on.
Factoring in the massive amount of players at the start of the game that was fighting over monsters, taking over 10 hours to arrive at level 1 could be considered average.
Why is the unique quest's reward so generous? Was it because I completed it at level 0? Shi Feng became slightly uncertain, but he was still delighted with such rewards. In his previous life, the rewards posted were not as luxurious.
Although the amount of express was the same, the number of free mastery points was not. The other person only received 10 points for it, as well as a delicate ornament box, while Shi Feng received 20 points and a luxurious ornament box. Free mastery points were extremely precious in God's Domain.
Rarely would a quest award 3 to 5 points.
This unique quest had awarded 20 points. Hopefully, it won't let me down. Although it isn't a delicate ornament box, it is still the better luxurious ornament box. It should come out. Shi Feng carefully held the ornament box, a nervous gulp coming from his throat. Slowly, he opened the box. Though the express and free mastery points were great, what Shi Feng really wanted was the item inside the ornament box. It was an essential item he needed to complete his leveling and money-making plans. It was also a top-tier item that many experts drooled over. Shi Feng would cry to death if something went wrong. Chapter 5. As the luxurious ornament box slowly opened, a dazzling array of multicolored light burst out from within. Fortunately, Shi Feng was currently standing inside a dark alley. There were no players who would wander over here. Otherwise, such a spectacle would have incited the greed in their hearts and Shi Feng would be killed and robbed. When the glowing brilliance faded, a simple silver necklace and a purple gold ring could be seen lying inside the luxurious ornament box. Carved on the ring's exterior were words resembling the ancient language of elves, and within them stored a tremendous magical power. Fortunately, it is still the ring of gravity. Shi Feng let loose his breath when he saw the appearance of the ring. Carefully, he took the ring out of the box and inspected it. Ring of Gravity, Mysterious Iron Rank. Equipment level, 0. Strength +2, Agility +1, Endurance +1. Additional skill, Gravity Liberation. Greatly reduces the gravity acting upon the user. Duration 30 seconds. Cooldown 5 minutes. Great! It's not just bronze rank. After reading the item's introduction, Shi Feng became extremely excited. The situation was far better than he had expected. The equipment in God's Domain was categorized into trash, common, bronze, mysterious iron, secret silver, fine gold, dark gold, and epic. At the start of the game, players only received trash equipment from the system. This equipment was utterly worthless. At this stage of the game, however, there were no players who possessed common equipment. While you could buy common equipment in large cities, the prices were costly. As for bronze ranked, those were extremely rare and they also came with additional attributes. Mysterious iron equipment, however, only dropped from bosses and, needless to say, they were even more precious. In Shi Feng's previous life, the ring of gravity obtained by the player was only bronze ranked. It gave only an additional 1 point to strength. The skill, Gravity Liberation, as well, only lasted for 15 seconds. It was a surprise to Shi Feng that completing the quest at level 0 would earn him a mysterious iron ring of gravity. As for the necklace, it was just a gray item.
NPC merchants coveted these items and they were willing to buy them at high prices.
After wearing the ring of gravity, Shi Feng added the 4 free ability points that came from leveling up all into agility.
Shi Feng's agility rose to 12 points, his attack speed to 5 points, and his movement speed to 6 points.
He could almost rival a pure agility assassin of the same level now. My agility will reach 20 points after rising to level 3. At that time, I can unlock the hidden basic skill of the agility system.
Shi Feng looked at his attribute panel in anticipation.
Shi Feng moved his body, feeling it become a lot livelier than before. He wouldn't be in his previous sorry state if he were to face off with Town Mayor Cross, right now. If his agility reached 20 points, the condition of his body would become even greater after activating the basic skill, Fast and Nimble. He could even rival against those Wulin experts depicted in wuxia novels. Afterward, Shi Feng added 15 of the free mastery points towards his one-handed sword mastery, keeping the remaining 5 points for future use. With his one-handed sword mastery now at a total of 20 points, Shi Feng advanced from apprentice to basic swordsman and the additional damage dealt by using a one-handed sword increased to 10%. He was still 30 mastery points away from advancing to an intermediate swordsman.
Regular attacks were only the basics for a swordsman.
If one wanted to become an expert with the sword, skills were a must-have. The more, the better, as this would create more flexibility when in battle, thereby allowing the swordsman to dish out greater damage. Shi Feng was both an expert of the sword and a person who had been reincarnated. Now that he had a special tool such as the Ring of Gravity, he needed a large amount of swordsman skills to display the true potential of a swordsman.
He could then level up at a fast pace. Otherwise, it was impossible to increase the efficiency of killing monsters by relying on normal attacks. I recall there being a black market challenge in Red Leaf Town's trade area. Players who cleared the challenge for the first time would be able to obtain a skill book for swordsmen. Most skill books dropped from monsters around levels 3 to 5 and their drop rates were pitifully low. At this stage of the game, there were still no players capable of grinding those monsters. It would be a big waste of time if Shi Feng wanted to obtain the other skill books for swordsmen. He also did not have the time for it.
So, the Black Market Challenge was the only way for Shi Feng to quickly obtain a skill book in Red Leaf Town.
Trade area of Red Leaf Town. Shops filled both sides of the street.
There were pharmacies, smithies, bars and more. It was extremely flourishing, just like a small market. However, the current trade area wasn't as lively as it should be. It hasn't been long since God's Domain started its operation, so most players were busy leveling up instead of enjoying what God's Domain had to offer. As a result, there was only the minority of lifestyle players staying here.
They were here to learn auxiliary jobs such as enchanter, forger, pharmacist, chef, engineer, alchemist, etc.
Buying herbs at a high price. Contact me directly if you have any.
Buying ores. Rip-offs can stay away.
Sincerely buying high-ranking equipment.
Price is negotiable.
Willing to pay with credits. Many logistics staffers of workshops and guilds had set up a small stall by the roadside of the trade area.
They were mainly here to buy items and equipment. Shi Feng quickly headed towards a 2-storied building without halting. High-ranking gnomes guarded the building, and above the building read, Black Market.
This place was the dark side of Red Leaf Town and it was a place of entertainment built by the greedy gnomes.
The gnome's auction house could be seen just after entering the black market. Going down along the basement staircase led to two empty fields. One was the battle arena, while the other was the field for the challenge race.
At the moment, several players were standing in front of the field.
They were receiving the gnome's challenge. Good luck. You have to succeed this time. Good luck. Stop those gnomes. A few players were currently cheering with all their might for an assassin player that stood on the field.
Their reddened eyes made them look no different than crazed gamblers. The challenge race could be considered a testing grounds for a player's capabilities. Once a player entered the trial grounds, all their attributes would be fixed at 10 points, their skills disabled, and their equipment rendered useless. Within the 30 yards long and 10 yards wide field, players were only allowed to block or dodge the incoming shots from the gnomes' muskets.
A victory would ensue once players arrived at the finishing point. The gnomes gave out 3 ranks of challenges: copper prize, silver prize, and gold prize. After a challenge was completed, there would be a 3-day cooldown. There was a fee of 5 coppers for the copper prize, 5 silvers for the silver prize, and 5 gold for the gold prize. Naturally, the higher ranked the challenge, the greater the prize. There was even the chance of obtaining a dark gold equipment. However, if a player obtained the first clear for the challenge in Red Leaf Town, the reward of copper prize may be comparable even to the silver prize. In Shi Feng's previous life, this first clear was obtained by a swordsman named Fierce Gale, and the person had received a rare skill book for swordsman. After a short while, the assassin on the field was struck. His body lay at the 20 yards mark, still 10 yards away from the final point. Despicable. Just a little bit more.
Do you guys still have money? I'll definitely clear it the next time, the male assassin said after reviving from the field. A male cleric shook his head saying, "Boss Stabbing Heart, the 5 of us have already given you all our money.
We don't have any more."
By the side, Shi Feng shifted his sight towards the assassin.
He was shocked after hearing the 2 words, stabbing heart. The person's body was covered in black clothing. He had a short and skinny stature, just like a monkey.
Shi Feng could hardly believe that the monkey in front of him was Stabbing Heart, the assassin who ranked at number 10 on Star Moon Kingdom's assassin leaderboard. The assassin named Stabbing Heart shifted his gaze onto Shi Feng. After sizing Shi Feng up, his eyes revealed a gaze as if they had just found prey. With a smile, he walked up to Shi Feng and said, "Nice to meet you, friend.
I'm Stabbing Heart, assassin squad leader of the Assassins Alliance. Lend 5 coppers to me and I'll return 20 coppers to you tomorrow."
How about it?
Stabbing Heart was just 10 yards away from the final point this time, so he was unwilling to accept defeat. He had already figured out some of the challenge's patterns. He would be able to clear it if given another chance.
Hence, he thought of using his guild's name to shock and awe Shi Feng into lending him 5 coppers. The Assassins Alliance was a large guild that was well known in the world of virtual gaming.
Any veteran gamer would know this name.
Someone capable of becoming the squad leader for assassins was definitely a great expert, a figure that was respected by many players. Instead of lending, the average player would definitely just give the 5 coppers to gain some favors. 5 coppers is it? After some thinking, Shi Feng answered, "I can lend you the 5 coppers, but you have to pay back 50 coppers tomorrow."
Stabbing Heart was surprised.
He was Stabbing Heart, the Assassins Alliance's famous assassin squad leader. However, Shi Feng's uncourteous reaction was completely different than what he had imagined it would be.
Could Shi Feng be a rookie gamer?
Seeing Stabbing Heart staying silent, Shi Feng asked, "Still borrowing?"
"I'll borrow." Stabbing Heart wanted to weep. Other players would be going, "Expert, expert,"
when they met him, yet Shi Feng showed no such reaction. However, when he thought about the bountiful reward awaiting him, even 50 coppers was worth it. "Here's 5 coppers.
Let's add each other as friends.
Don't forget to return 50 coppers to me tomorrow." Shi Feng took 5 coppers out of the 60 he obtained from selling the necklace, not forgetting to remind Stabbing Heart to return the 50 coppers.
With tears flowing down his face, Stabbing Heart received the 5 coppers and said, "Fine.
I won't forget."
Not knowing what Stabbing Heart was thinking, Shi Feng walked away after the trade was completed.
He headed towards the green-skinned gnome who was the challenge race's administrator. "Sir, time is money. What business do you have?" The gnome administrator said so in a lofty tone.
"I want to enter the copper prize challenge,"
Shi Feng said as he handed over 5 coppers. After flipping the copper coins a few times, the gnome nodded his head in approval.
He opened the wooden door to the challenge race, allowing Shi Feng to enter. "Ladies and gentlemen, we have a new challenger on the field. Please let us welcome this brave swordsman," the gnome loudly announced.
"Boss Stabbing Heart, the kid that lent you money is participating in the challenge race," the male cleric pointed out. The resting Stabbing Heart laughingly said, "That kid's just a rookie."
"Does he think the challenge race is so easy?" Even though the distance is only 30 yards, the gnome's attack pattern will change after you get past 15 yards and their attack rates greatly increase.
"Not to mention, even I have difficulty facing them. That's for sure. Even an expert such as Boss Stabbing Heart could only reach 20 yards. I'm guessing that kid will, at most, reach 5 yards before being done in." The male cleric nodded with a smile. Inside the field, the 3 gnomes standing at the finishing line readied their muskets, aiming them towards Shi Feng.
Above the challenge field, the timer started counting down. 3, 2, 1.
Challenge start. Chapter 6. The instant the countdown ended, Shi Feng's body leaned forward and his legs bent. Just like a leopard, he dashed away from the starting line with explosive force.
Shoo!
By the time the muskets had started ringing and shooting towards the starting line, Shi Feng was already 3 yards away. Subsequently, another volley of musket shots rang out. A total of 6 bullets shot towards Shi Feng's path.
Several green lines indicating the trajectory of the bullets covered Shi Feng's body. Shi Feng would become a sieve if his reactions were not keen.
Just as the bullets were about to hit, Shi Feng dodged to the right with a sidestep.
He rushed forward once more, after avoiding the second volley of shots. Bullet casings fell to the ground consistently as the 3 gnomes continued to aim and shoot.
However, Shi Feng avoided them with the vigor of a leopard, every single time. The way he stayed a step ahead of the bullets made it seem as if he had control over them.
It can't be. He's already at the 10-yard mark.
Seeing Shi Feng taking less than 5 seconds to reach the 10-yard mark, the male cleric couldn't help but be shocked. It was only a half of Stabbing Heart's time.
Stabbing Heart became speechless by the side. He silently watched Shi Feng's advance. He had originally thought of Shi Feng as a fresh noob, someone that he didn't know of and someone that came to the challenge race for fun.
Yet, the speed and accuracy Shi Feng just displayed were like a veteran who had tempered himself for countless years on the challenge race. Every move of his was straightforward and efficient, something a rookie definitely couldn't pull off.
Even Stabbing Heart himself, after going through the challenge several times, felt he couldn't do any better. Stabbing Heart had the pride of an expert. He did not think that Shi Feng could be stronger than he was. He explained, with such nimbleness, maybe this rookie is an athlete or someone who trained in martial arts.
However, the gnomes will change their attack patterns after he goes past 15 yards.
He won't be able to hold it, by that time.
You're right, boss. If it's someone that isn't known to our Assassins Alliance, he definitely isn't an expert.
He'll surely be shocked once he reaches 15 yards.
Then, he'll turn into a beehive.
Right.
After 15 yards, the number of bullets fired will be 12. The target would also no longer be focused on the player, himself. Instead, it'll cover a wide area. Dodging to either side won't be an option.
The other members of Assassin's Alliance voiced their agreements.
They, too, had already witnessed such a scene before, 7 to 8 times, at that.
Stabbing Heart passed 15 yards on his first challenge. In the subsequent challenges, however, his furthest distance was 20 yards. The difficulty after 15 yards was clear to behold. He went past 15 yards, an Assassin's Alliance member commented.
Stabbing Heart and the others quickly focused their sights on Shi Feng, wanting to see Shi Feng's performance.
On the field, the three gnomes became enraged once Shi Feng stepped past the 15-yard line.
They no longer aimed as they fired their muskets with wild abandon.
Suddenly, the bullet trajectory indicators within Shi Feng's sight covered a large area.
There were only 3 bullets that would hit Shi Feng.
However, it was game over if even a single bullet hit its mark. Finally, showing your shameless behavior, Shi Feng revealed an indifferent smile. Unsheathing his novice sword, Shi Feng used it to greet the bullets.
In his previous life, Shi Feng was always busy with work and leveling up as the captain of Shadow. He had no time to play the challenge race. However, he had seen it quite a few times, so he still had a clear understanding of the challenge race. He knew the gnomes would change their attack patterns after the 15-yard line. The 15-yard distance of the Black Market's challenge race was a bar that tested a player's operating skills. Only those who passed it could be considered to have entry-level operating skills. However, a majority of the players required 2 or 3 months before being able to reach this level. A minority took a month.
There were only a scant few experts capable of passing it in one try. Stabbing Heart was one of those few experts. 3 bullets were about to hit Shi Feng's head, chest, and arm, 3 locations.
As expected, this kid's no good. The bullets are too numerous and too spread out.
He's already forgotten to dodge them.
He's even dashing ahead like an idiot.
Stabbing Heart knew it was foolishness when he saw Shi Feng rushing towards the bullets. Did he think the challenge would continue if he were just shot by 1 or 2 bullets? Right this moment,
Shi Feng's head shifted.
He waved his novice sword, creating a white streak of light. Pung! A spark was created.
Shi Feng had waved the novice sword just at the right spot, effortlessly hitting the bullet that aimed at his chest. The threat of the 3 bullets was simply resolved by Shi Feng.
He had, once more, advanced another section of the distance.
Yet, the 3 gnomes did not stop firing.
The muskets in their hands were like machine guns, firing volley after volley of bullets.
Within an instant, Shi Feng faced off with another 5 bullets.
There were also bullets all around that prevented him from dodging. Dang! Dang! Dang!
Shi Feng swiftly moved his body while waving his sword to deflect the unavoidable bullets.
As the bullets passed by his body, his ears could even hear the air being split. Only 3 seconds went by and Shi Feng had passed through the 20-yard mark. He was only 10 yards away from the finishing point. Crap.
Boss, who is this kid?
He actually used his sword to block the bullets.
The male cleric widened his eyes in surprise.
Shi Feng had given him an indescribable sense of shock. Although the bullet trajectories were indicated, accurately blocking them was easier said than done. Such an action required extreme precision and skill to carry out. Not to mention, the margin of error allowed was a damnable one. Stabbing Heart suddenly became speechless.
Deflecting bullets with a weapon was like walking on a thread of wire high up in the sky. A single misstep would send you plunging into the abyss. As if he was enjoying it, Shi Feng blocked the oncoming bullets over and over. Whereas, the bullets seemed to have a life of their own, intentionally avoiding Shi Feng's body as they flew past.
Boss. That swordsman has run past 25 yards.
He'll definitely pass the finish line at this rate. The male cleric's heart became a chaotic mess as he watched Shi Feng danced forward, sparks occasionally flashing in front of his body.
I have eyes. I don't need you to remind me. Stabbing Heart said in annoyance. He was deeply drawn in by Shi Feng's actions. The moment Shi Feng went past 25 yards. Die, challenger. One of the gnomes at the finish line laughed.
The gnome took out an automatic musket, sending a wave of bullets towards Shi Feng.
Suddenly, the number of bullets increased to 24. Not only that, their distance from Shi Feng was a mere 5 yards.
It was an unavoidable distance for players.
Hell!
This is cheating! Stabbing Heart unwillingly shouted. The other players became extremely nervous when they saw the scene, and they couldn't help but curse at the shamelessness of the gnomes.
Facing the hail of bullets, Shi Feng quickly turned grave.
Although he had known about the second change at the 25-yard mark, even he would panic in the face of so many bullets. Shi Feng bent his knees, leaping forward like a leopard. He darted headfirst towards the area with the least amount of bullets, reducing the surface area of his body that would come into contact with the bullets.
Following which, he madly waved the novice sword, simultaneously creating 4 streaks of white light. Pung! 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 Pung!
After a series of sparks, Shi Feng's body passed through the storm of bullets. The moment his body was about to make contact with the ground, his free arm pressed downwards. Shi Feng quickly stood up with all his might, rushing past the finish line like a bolt of lightning.
Total time spent, 14 seconds.
Estimated record time of 18 seconds for copper prize broken.
Ing! I'm really not used to this soft and weak body, Shi Feng slightly lamented after passing through the finish line.
If he was over level 100, with his body's constitution, he could easily carry out the 4 simultaneous sword slashes with great ease.
Ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause.
This swordsman has passed the challenge.
The gnome administrator announced loudly. System. Player was the first to pass the copper challenge and break the record. Rewarding player with 1 silver coin and swordsman skill, Thundering Flash. It can't be. It actually gave out the super rare skill, Thundering Flash.
This is a skill that even a swordsman over level 100 can't get.
Shi Feng thought he was hallucinating.
However, he was shocked when he saw the Thundering Flash skill book inside his bag.
Thundering Flash, action type. Requires, sword.
Rapidly send out 3 sword lights to 10x 2 yards forward. Each hit will cause 130% damage and also give a damage amplification effect, amplifying the damage of your following attacks by 20% for 15 seconds.
Cooldown, 30 seconds.
Without a second thought, Shi Feng clicked and learned the skill. Swordsman was a job that mainly focused on dealing damage to single targets. It didn't have many powerful AoE skills.
Thundering Flash was one of the few powerful AoE skills a swordsman possessed. If it were learned during the early periods, it would definitely create a huge gap from the other swordsmen.
After learning Thundering Flash, Shi Feng started to feel himself gaining the makings of a swordsman.
You guys continue playing, I'll be leaving first.
Don't forget my 50 coppers.
Shi Feng looked towards the dumbfounded Stabbing Heart, leaving the black market after calling out to them.
Stabbing Heart indifferently nodded his head. Boss, he's gone.
He took away the prize, as well.
Should we chase after him? The male cleric asked.
Stabbing Heart's shock gradually faded after Shi Feng left. He stared at the male cleric, scolding, "Are you an idiot? We'll be lucky if we have time to even curry up to such an expert swordsman."
Making enemies of him? Are you courting death?
Not good. I have to tell this to guild leader. Luckily, I added him as a friend. Is he called Yi Feng?
I can't believe I've never heard of such an expert.
Could he be some sword expert in disguise? Stabbing Heart acknowledged that he could not pass the challenge in such a magnificent way.
Especially the last bout after the 25-yard mark. That was just cheating. It was impossible for players to block or dodge. Yet, Shi Feng had done it. At the trade area, Shi Feng met with Potion Master Kevin. He spent 120 coppers purchasing 20 exploding berry, instantly shrinking his wealth down to 30 coppers.
However, He still spent it, all to level at the speed of a rocket.
Shi Feng took the exploding berries and left Red Leaf Town, running westward. At that moment, all players were at level 0, and all of them were killing level 0 monsters around Red Leaf Town. There were also a few with good techniques killing level 1 baby wolves in a party. A warrior tanking at the front and a damage dealer and healer behind, fighting together in an orderly manner. Although the express was shared between several people, the efficiency was a lot higher and there were fewer competitors. However, Shi Feng did not plan to compete with these people. Passing through the level 1 monster area, followed by the level 3 monster area, Shi Feng headed straight towards Red Leaf Forest, a level 5 monster area.
There were no players who would go there.
There were still no players who dared to challenge level 5 monsters at this stage of the game. Not only was there the suppression due to the difference in levels, but there was also the significant disparity in HP and attack power. A level 5 monster could easily steamroll over a level 1 player. Even a 6-man party was no match for a level 5 monster. There was a heavy penalty whenever a player died. Not only would they lose an entire level's worth of express, but their skill proficiency would also be decreased.
There were simply no players who would take the risk.
Otherwise, hours of their hard-earned express and proficiency would become pointless.
Chapter 7. Red Leaf Forest was made up of beautiful maple trees. Level 5 monsters roamed around the woods. To a player below level 3, this was a restricted area.
Shi Feng, as well, was no match for these level 5 monsters, even though he had reached level 1. However, Shi Feng ran into the Red Leaf Forest without hesitation.
Cautiously, he advanced towards the inner reaches of the forest. Level 5 forest wolves could be seen patrolling around the woods from time to time.
Shi Feng was currently just level 1. If he did not stay a sufficient distance away from them, the forest wolf's sensitive nose would smell him out. A level 5 forest wolf had 400 HP. It also had high attack power. It would only take 2 bites from the wolf for Shi Feng's 120 HP to meet its end. Shi Feng's only option was to stealthily avoid the forest wolves, taking a big detour around them. Aside from the forest wolves, Shi Feng also met with adorable bear cubs. The little cubs fumbled and tumbled around on the grassy plains, giving an innocent and cute look. However, they were still level 5 monsters, and they were hated by melee players. This was because of their high HP and defense, making a fight with the cubs very exhausting. As Shi Feng used a tree to root past a bear cub, he heard a wolf's howl coming from behind him.
Damn! A wolf den!
As calm as Shi Feng was, he still couldn't help but call out.
In his previous life, many players came in parties to the Red Leaf Forest. Most of them were level 4 or 5. Aside from grinding a large number of monsters, the main reason players came here was because of the bountiful loot. Skill books, leatherworking materials, and equipment were such examples. There were also a large amount of herbs and ore that were attainable in the forest. However, a single mishap could still cause a party wipe in the Red Leaf Forest. One of the dangers that caused such situations were wolf dens. A wolf den was hidden and hard to notice. If players did not pay close attention, a pack of forest wolves would pounce forth once the players entered the wolf den's area of alertness. If less, there would be 3 to 5 wolves. If more, 6 to 8. It was a party wipe trap. Shi Feng's luck was bad. All at once, 7 forest wolves rushed out of the den. The meat on Shi Feng's body wasn't enough for them to share. The speed of the forest wolves was fast, but Shi Feng wasn't slow either. With his attribute points all going into agility, his movement speed was at 6 points. He was still a level 1 swordsman, in the end. Even if he was a pure agility 1, his speed was still a notch slower than the forest wolves. Seeing the wolves catching up, Shi Feng stopped caring as he activated the life-saving skill, Gravity Liberation. Shi Feng suddenly felt his body becoming as light as a feather.
His speed increased by a massive leap, easily shaking off the forest wolves behind him.
In the end, a common monster was still a common one.
They gave up after chasing past a set area, allowing Shi Feng to keep his life. After running for over 10 minutes, Shi Feng arrived at a range of mountains and hills. Several mountains stood over 100 meters, located in the central region of red leaf forest. The top of the mountains was surrounded by clouds and mist, creating a scene of immortal lands.
Finally arrived. Shi Feng looked towards the towering mountain and its surroundings. Discovering a waterfall, he walked towards it. In his previous life, players were mostly over level 20, so their attributes were naturally high. They could do much more than they could while they were low-leveled. Many loved exploring the myriad of places in God's domain.
The central region of Red Leaf Forest was one of the famous places, so Shadow Workshop had sent a small party of assassins to investigate.
Never would they have thought to find a treasure mountain there. On one of the mountains, they discovered many items, rare ore, herbs, and even treasure chests.
At the peak of the mountain, there was a secret silver treasure chest.
There were many secretive places in the wild of God's domain. Most of these places housed treasure chests, awaiting to be discovered by players.
The items within treasure chests varied considerably, ranging from copper coins to dark gold equipment. The quality of treasure chests could be categorized into common, bronze, mysterious iron, secret silver, fine gold, and dark gold.
However, even the loot from a common treasure chest could rival the drops of elite monsters. Not to even mention how good the loot from a secret silver treasure chest could be. This secret silver treasure box quickly allowed Shadow to become a well-known workshop in White River City. This allowed Shadow to amass quite a fortune during the initial periods of the game. More than just equipment, the secret silver treasure chest had a secret recipe for pharmaceutics and a forging design. In God's domain, the drop rate of pharmaceutical recipes was not even 10,000 to 1. It was even lower for a forging design. You could create bronze-ranked equipment using forging designs, something sorely needed by players. With it, making money would become a simple task. Shi Feng's plan to earn 16,000 credits within 10 days all depended on the design. So naturally, he wouldn't be leaving it for Shadow Workshop. However, low-leveled players without 40 agility were unable to activate the hidden basic ability, flying steps. Without it, they had no way of climbing the rocky mountain. There were also no paths that led up the mountain, leaving rock climbing as the only option. Although Shi Feng did not have 40 points in agility, he had the Ring of Gravity. He could still climb the mountain after activating it. Shi Feng easily scaled up the mountain after activating Gravity Liberation. He was already 5 meters up after a few moments. When Gravity Liberation had 5 seconds remaining, Shi Feng found an empty spot of land to rest while waiting for Gravity Liberation's cooldown. Not long after Shi Feng sat down, the rock wall suddenly shook. A rock giant appeared with bursts of roaring. Rock giant, common monster. Level 5. HP 550. That was quick. Shi Feng had long since been ready when he saw the rock giant walking over. He took out an explosive berry from his bag and threw it towards the rock giant's feet. Sticky orange-colored juice erupted all over the ground. As a level 5 monster, the rock giant had extremely high attack power, HP, and defense. However, it had low attack speed and reaction time. Its body's turn rate was even slower. A player only needed 20 points in agility to easily toy with the rock giant. There were plenty of assassins who loved dealing with such dumb monsters. They could easily be killed without wasting a single HP. Although Shi Feng did not have 20 agility, he had the explosive berries. Each had an effective area of 3x3 yards, reducing movement speed by 30%, and turn rate by 70% for 1 minute. It was a godly tool used to counter dumb monsters. 2 months after God's domain started, A lot of players would use such a method to kill high-leveled monsters that were slow-moving.
However, such slow-moving monsters existed in limited numbers in God's domain, so grinding on them for quick levels was not possible. The rock giant's speed sharply reduced after being hit by the explosive berry. Shi Feng pulled out his novice sword and rushed towards the rock giant's back, chopping down at it. Above the rock giant's head, 3 points of damage appeared. It was a hardly mentionable damage when compared to its 550 HP. The rock giant also regenerated 1% of its HP every 5 seconds. That was 5.5 HP every 5 seconds.
It was very challenging to kill it within a minute. The rock giant tried to turn around when Shi Feng attacked it. However, its body's turn rate was slow, to begin with. Now that there was an extra 70% speed reduction, it was just abominably slow. Shi Feng attacked it twice more, following up with another chop, causing a series of -3, -3, -6 to appear. The effect of chop was not that great due to the level suppression. However, because the rock giant was 4 levels higher, there was an additional bonus towards skill proficiency. Coupled with one of the swordsman's natural talents, a single usage had increased Chop's SP by 3 points. This was an absolute location for raising skill proficiency. After much trouble, the rock giant turned around to face off against Shi Feng. However, Shi Feng did not give it any chance, quickly circling to its back where he continued attacking. Thundering flash. Suddenly, a single sword light caused 4 damage, followed by another that dealt 5 damage, and the last one that dealt 7 damage. After all 3 streaks of thunder hit its mark, Thundering Flash's SP increased by 3 points. Another few slashes followed. A series of -4, -4, -4 damage was dealt. Though each strike only had an increase of 1 damage, the totaled up damage would still be great. Although the effect of Thundering Flash lasted only for 15 seconds, it had greatly increased the speed of killing the rock giant. The battle could be ended within a single minute now, saving up a precious explosive berry. Even if the rock giant had high HP and attack, it was no different than a practice dummy if it couldn't land a hit on Shi Feng. It was just giving Shi Feng Express an SP. Skill proficiency could not be increased just by using the skill. When using it on a monster of the same level, there was a 20% chance to increase it by 1 point. For monsters of a higher level, there was a 40% chance if it was 1 level higher, 70% for 2 levels, 100% for 3 levels, 150% for 4 levels, and 200% for 5 levels. The maximum limit was 200%. Now that Shi Feng was killing a level 5 rock giant, his SP increased several times the rate of others. Not even a full minute had gone by before the rock giant finally fell. System. Level 5 rock giant killed. Level difference of 4. Express obtained increased by 400%. Obtained 120 Express. Shi Feng's Express bar increased by a chunk. He was now 880 Express away from level 2. That meant he needed to kill another 8 rock giants to reach level 2. These mountains in the central region were a great place for leveling up and looking for treasure. Unfortunately, 2 months had passed before people discovered them. Shi Feng searched the rock giant's body after killing it, obtaining a bronze ore. It was a material used to make bronze equipment. He also acquired a piece of hard stone. Subsequently, Shi Feng searched around the empty land. A few moments later he found a rare herb called 100 Souls Flower. It was one of the core materials used to make basic regeneration potion. Just as he got close to it, another rock giant spawned. Shi Feng threw out another explosive berry. Thundering Flash. Chop. In just a short moment, Shi Feng obtained another hard stone, 120 XP and a large amount of SP. Shi Feng continued climbing up when the cooldown finished on the Ring of Gravity. On his way up, he searched for rare herbs while killing rock giants.
Following the fall of the 8th rock giant, Shi Feng became level 2. He added all his points into agility, letting it reach 16 points.
He was just 4 points away from unlocking fast and nimble.
The SP for Chop has also reached 300 points, raising the skill to level 2. The next level required 600 SP. The skill now increased damage by 12 points, and its cooldown was reduced by 1 second. The other players would go crazy if they found out about Shi Feng's leveling speed. Just going from level 0 to level 1 required more than a handful of hours. As for going from level 1 to 2, at the very least, doing so would require 7 or 8 hours.
Shi Feng spent less than 20 minutes to reach level 2.
His leveling speed was like a rocket launching.
Shi Feng walked towards a dead rock giant and searched it.
Seems like my luck isn't bad at all. It even dropped equipment.
Shi Feng discovered a piece of cloth armor, though he was somewhat disappointed. Gorgeous cloth shirt, common equipment. Level 4. Defense +3. Mana +10. Durability 2020.
God's domain had just started operating.
The drop rate of equipment was extremely low. Common equipment was extremely rare, especially a level 4 common equipment. There was definitely someone who would buy it at a high price.
Shi Feng placed the equipment into his bag. Just as he was about to continue upwards, he suddenly noticed a cave not far ahead.
When he walked over to check, Shi Feng's heart rate quickened. Shi Feng spotted a huge rock giant sleeping within the cave.
Its entire body was made up of silvery rocks, different from the normal gray-colored ones.
Shrews, Special Elite. Level 6. HP 900. Special Elites were a lot stronger than normal Elites.
A regular elite monster could decimate a 6-man party of the same level. However, a special elite required 12 players of the same level to deal with, maybe even 15 players. That meant shrews required 15 level 6 players working together to kill. However, Shi Feng rushed ahead without hesitation.
He used Thundering Flash immediately, causing ray after ray of thunder to cut across Shrew's huge body.
Damages of -1, -2, -3 appeared above Shrew's head.
Chapter 8. Even though the damage dealt by Shi Feng was negligible, Shrew still woke up from his deep slumber. Anybody would be enraged when they were abruptly awoken.
"I'll flatten you, puny human,"
Shrews bellowed. The entire cave shook as Shrew stood.
With giant strides, Shrews walked towards Shi Feng. Not giving Shrews any chance, Shi Feng took out an explosive berry and tossed it in front of Shrew's path.
Speed was always a rock giant's weakness.
There was no exception even for a special elite. Shrews only had a larger size, a stronger attack, and more attack methods. Though his movement speed and attack speed were slightly faster, under the slowing effects of the explosive berry, he was still as slow as a turtle. On the other hand, Shi Feng's movement speed and attack speed were very fast due to his 16 agility.
Shi Feng immediately circled to Shrew's back and began his fierce assault.
A series of damages appeared above Shrew's head.
-2, -2, -2, -2. They were followed by another chop that dealt 6 damage.
It had to be said, Shrews had a frightening defense.
Even with the amplified damage from Thundering Flash, a level 2 chop had only dealt 6 damage.
A level 1 chop would probably only deal 4 damage. Shrews only turned around after receiving a series of attacks.
It lifted its mountain-sized foot and stomped down, towards Shi Feng. As a reincarnated person, Shi Feng had experienced countless battles in God's domain. He did not have a thread of panic in him when facing against Shrews. With a step, Shi Feng nimbly evaded towards Shrew's back, avoiding Shrew's sluggish attack. Shi Feng then followed up with a series of mad cuts. When 5 seconds passed, Shrews regenerated 18 HP, leaving him with a remainder of 886 HP. Half of Shi Feng's efforts had gone to waste within an instant.
Compared to common ones, elite monsters or above would regenerate 2% of their HP every 5 seconds during battle. Shrews had 900 HP, so it was 18 HP every 5 seconds. This regeneration had exceeded the damage Shi Feng could deal using normal attacks.
Even so, Shi Feng still calmly waved his sword, continuously reaping away Shrew's hydrogen phosphide.
An average player would have already given up when seeing such high HP and regeneration.
Shi Feng would not, though.
16 points of agility allowed Shi Feng to avoid an attack with ease. His high attack speed also allowed the damage he dealt to mitigate Shrew's regeneration completely. However, killing Shrews required a lot of time.
It was very dull, just avoiding and madly attacking. Dealing out strong attacks was very tiring, both physically and mentally.
With each passing second, Shrew's HP continually fell. 15 seconds later,
once Thundering Flash's amplifying effect disappeared, the damage Shi Feng caused sharply reduced.
Each strike of his sword only dealt 1 damage, and chop only took away 4 HP from Shrews. Shi Feng immediately fell into a bitter battle. Another 5 seconds passed, and Shrews once more regenerated 18 HP. However, Shi Feng only dealt 17 damage within that 5 seconds.
It wasn't even enough to even make up for Shrew's regeneration. Shi Feng wrinkled his brows.
As expected, it was hard to kill off Shrews. It was just a pointless endeavor without sufficient damage. Do I give up? Just as Shi Feng was thinking so.
I want to flatten you. Shrews roared as he stomped his foot. Suddenly, the entire cave shook.
Sharp stalactites fell from the cave ceiling one after another, covering the entire cave. It even has a party wipe skill? Seeing the bad situation, Shi Feng moved quickly away from Shrew's side, dodging the falling stalactites. The stalactites continuously fell in great numbers. Their speed was quick as well. If a party came into this cramped space, there wouldn't be any place to dodge. They would definitely be party wiped. If it weren't for his nimble body and the somewhat spacious area, Shi Feng would be hard-pressed to avoid these falling rocks. Shrews revealed an exhausted expression after finishing his skill.
Shi Feng's eyes shone, he quickly rushed ahead. Thundering Flash. Chop. -4, -5, -6, 10.
Suddenly, a series of terrifying damages were caused. Fatigue state. It was a period of weakness that appeared after a boss used a powerful skill. In this state, the boss would have both its attack and defense greatly reduced. With this fatigue state, Shi Feng could see the hope of killing Shrews. Shi Feng took the chance to attack even more fervently. -4, -4, -4. Each sword strike took away 4 HP while Shrews was under both states of fatigue and damage amplification. During this weakened period, Shrew's regeneration also fell to 1%. By the time Shrews returned to his normal state, Shi Feng had already taken away 15% of Shrew's hydrogen phosphide. The subsequent battle was filled with persistence. Shi Feng would repeatedly attack to make up for Shrew's regeneration. Every 30 seconds, he would deal a burst of damage with Thundering Flash. Following which, he would await Shrew's use of his big move. This party wipe skill was a nightmare to player parties. To Shi Feng, however, it was a chance. As expected, Shrews would again use his big move after a period of time. Shi Feng took this chance to take away 16% of Shrew's hydrogen phosphide. Time passed bit by bit. After using 5 explosive berries, Shrews had 32% HP remaining. When Shrews activated his big move once more, Shi Feng took away another 16% of his HP. Shrews was quickly left with 16% HP remaining. Just as Shrew's HP fell to 15%, a sudden change occurred. Shrew's body continuously shrunk, his attack and defense reducing as well. However, his movement speed and attack speed kept increasing. This change was very disadvantageous to Shi Feng. Although the explosive berry was still in effect, Shru's attacks were becoming faster. He had nearly landed a hit on Shi Feng. Shi Feng was just level 2. Even if Shru's attack power had reduced, a single hit was enough to end Shi Feng. If Shi Feng died, he would lose a level and a lot of skill proficiency. It was not something he wished to see happen. Fight! A cold glint flashed through Shi Feng's eyes as he activated gravity liberation. Suddenly, dodging became relaxing. It was impossible to easily give up on a special elite with only 15% HP remaining. Shi Feng continued to circle and madly hack his sword at Shru's. Every hit dealt 3 damage, slowly reducing Shru's hydrogen phosphide. 14%, 0.10%, 0.9%, 0.8%, 0.5%. Gravity liberation's duration became shorter and shorter. When there were only 7 seconds left, Shru still had 5% of his HP. Shi Feng would definitely be one-shotted as soon as gravity liberation ended. Quick! 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 Shi Feng's eyes turned blood red as his sword strikes became faster and faster. Just as Shru's had only 10 HP remaining, gravity liberation ended. Shi Feng's speed dropped sharply. A cold, human-like grin appeared on Shru's face as he smashed his boulder-like fist down on Shi Feng. Die! The cooldown of Thundering Flash finally finished. Thundering Flash! In an instant, 3 streaks of light passed through Shru's body. -4, -5, -6. Shru's final 10 HP was taken away. Boom! Shru's turned into a pile of rubble. System: Special Elite, Shru's killed. Level difference of 4. Express obtained increased by 400%. Obtained 940 Express. Shi Feng's experience bar abruptly rose by 27%, pushing him a big step closer towards level 3. After killing off Shru's, Shi Feng searched around in the pile of rubble. The drops of a special elite were far better than a normal elite. Shi Feng obtained an equipment, a skill book, and 16 coppers. The rewards for challenging higher levels sure are good. Even a bronze shield dropped. I can definitely sell it for a high price. It would be great if I could grind it a few more times. Shi Feng looked at the blue cross-shaped shield in his hands. He could already imagine how the guilds would be willing to pay a high price for the shield. Rock Iron Shield, bronze rank. Equipment requirement: Strength 8. Equipment level: 5. Defense plus 21. Defense rate 23%. Strength plus 2, Endurance plus 4. HP plus 30. The shield could be considered high quality with such attributes. When equipped, the shield would greatly increase defense. HP would also be increased by 110 points. This was equivalent to 1/3 of a level 5 warrior class hydrogen phosphide. Using it to dive into level 5 dungeons was more than enough. It could even be used to dive into level 8 dungeons. The skill book was a good one as well. It was a skill that could be used by all melee jobs, parry. It required a melee weapon to be used. It could block a single attack that came from the front, and it had a cooldown of 30 seconds. Parry was a popular skill among all melee jobs. It was a must-learn skill for warrior classes. The skill had a low drop rate, and it was almost never seen being sold on the market, as it was a life-saving skill. You could activate it at a crucial moment, and it might even help you through a crisis. It was especially true when battling against a boss. If the healers could not keep up, then you could use parry to block an attack, giving the healers more time to heal you. Taking a look at skill, Shi Feng decided to learn it. Although he could get a better price if he sold the skill book together with the shield, the action was no different than killing the chicken to get the egg. It was something Shi Feng wouldn't do. Shi Feng continued climbing upwards after killing Shru's. The bronze shield was worth only a meager amount of money. The real fortune was the secret silver treasure chest.
Xi Feng only had 4 explosive berries remaining. However, he was not even a third of the distance to the peak. It was also very easy to meet up with a monster at the resting points.
This caused Xi Feng to choose his path more carefully. Half an hour later, after cautiously advancing the entire way up, Xi Feng was finally at the peak of the mountain.
The visibility at the top was very poor with all the white clouds and mist. Xi Feng could only see 20 yards in front of him. On his way up, Xi Feng had used all 4 of the remaining explosive berries on rock giants. If another monster appeared, Xi Feng could only give up and start all over again.
Just as Xi Feng walked ahead a few steps,
a few blurry shadows could be seen up ahead. At this moment, an emergency notification came from the system.
System. Player has discovered the Lost Lands. Activated hidden quest, Past Glory.
Temporarily disabled player's communications to the outside world. Unable to leave the map until quest is completed.
Crap, those assassins lied.
Xi Feng silently cursed.
Those assassins had undoubtedly kept hidden some information. The situation at the mountain peak was entirely different from what the assassins reported.
Chapter 9.
Although the lies of those assassins angered Xi Feng, he had to remain calm in facing this unknown situation.
Even members of a workshop would have their own selfish motives.
They would definitely hide some of their important discoveries, silently empowering themselves and making a fortune. There were plenty of such people in a workshop. Be they outer members or core members, after some time, there were always some exceptionally strong people who suddenly appeared, their social statuses abruptly rising. Xi Feng was one such example.
Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to turn from a core member into the workshop's captain. They only told others about seeing a secret silver treasure chest after coming to the Lost Lands and nothing else.
There is definitely something more important than secret silver treasure chest. Is it this hidden quest?
Xi Feng called out the system's quest panel. Hidden quest of the Lost Lands, Past Glory.
Aside from the name, there was no other information about the quest. Xi Feng did not even know what he had to do. Is it a region-activated quest? With his 10 years of experience in God's domain, Xi Feng quickly discovered the essence of hidden quests. There were some quests with special characteristics in God's domain.
They were only triggered in certain areas. Not only that, these quests did not provide any information. Players were required to search for it themselves.
After the quest was completed, it would no longer be triggered again, even if another player came to this place. It could be called as a special kind of unique quest. At the same time, it was a quest filled with extreme danger.
Searching for the method to complete the quest in an unknown region also meant dealing with the unknown monsters of the region. For such special quests, the region's monsters were usually several levels higher compared to the surrounding areas. An average player had no chance in completing the quest. There were 6 assassins over level 20 that came to this place last time.
The quest was also triggered in this region with level 5 monsters, so the assassins could complete the quest. There's no point in bothering.
Since I can't get out, I might as well look around. At worst, I'll just die and be sent back to the town. Xi Feng advanced in large strides after thinking it through. A few moments after walking through the mists, Xi Feng spotted a few blurry figures up ahead.
It was a city. A city which had been abandoned ages ago.
All around, there were ruined houses.
Judging from the size of the city and the magnificence of the buildings, it seemed this city once flourished. It was even more prosperous and brilliant than White River City. However, this flourishing city did not have even a shadow of a person now. Xi Feng silently entered the city.
He observed the surroundings while looking for clues about his quest. Looking through a city that could fit millions was like looking for a needle in a haystack.
Hours quickly went by. After searching through tens of streets and hundreds of houses, Xi Feng had yet to find a single clue for his quest. God's domain had just started. It was the best time to widen the gap with others, yet Shi Feng had wasted hours exploring this place. There were plenty of players who had already reached level 1, but Shi Feng was still paused at 34% of level 2.
Shi Feng hesitated. Should he continue looking for clues to the quest, or should he just end himself here and revive back at the town? I'll look for another hour. If it's still no good, then I'll return to the town. Shi Feng laid down a time frame for himself. Although quests like these were precious, he did not have that much time to waste. He still had a ton of quests he could do. There was no need to waste away in this place. Time slowly passed by, bit by bit. Shi Feng arrived at the central tower of the city. This place was once a sacred ground for mages. It was the best place to learn magic. Now, however, it was irreparably ruined. Even the magic crystal at the tower's peak had shattered. Shi Feng went up the tower. He stood in the tower's observatory, filling his eyes with the city's scenery. Shi Feng would have slowly savored the sight were he not in a rush. After taking a look around, he still did not find any special locations. Just as Shi Feng was about to leave, "Young adventurer, welcome to the city in the sky." A white-bearded, old man suddenly appeared. The old man's voice was filled with vicissitudes and wisdom. The sudden appearance of the old man shocked Shi Feng into a jump. He had even thought the old man was some monster that had appeared. However, he let loose a breath after noticing the yellow indicator above the old man. City in the sky? Shi Feng became shocked when he thought of this well-known city of God's domain. City in the sky, the name of this city had once shaken the entire continent of God's domain. There were countless legendary jobs in this city. There was even the famous demigod-ranked sword saint, Altair. It was a city which was even feared by gods themselves. Unfortunately, the city had fallen during the Third God's War, becoming a regret of God's domain. "Respectful elder, is there anything I can help you with?" Shi Feng smiled and asked in a formal tone. "Help?" The white-bearded elder shook his head, smiling as he said, "No, I don't need any help." "I imagine you wish to become stronger. I can help you with that, but are you willing to accept a test of mine?" "Of course, I'm willing to receive your test." Shi Feng felt relieved. The trail to the quest, past glory, was here. He didn't have to die back to town, losing both levels and SP. The elder nodded his head in satisfaction, gravely saying, "I'll give you 3 choices. The first one is the normal difficulty. After you pass it, you'll get a mysterious iron treasure chest. The second one is the hard difficulty, where you'll get a secret silver treasure chest. In addition, you can get additional rewards depending on your rate of completion. The third option is the hell difficulty, where you'll be rewarded a fine gold treasure chest. You'll also receive additional rewards depending on your rate of completion." "Young adventurer, which do you choose?" 3 choices. Each harder than the other, and each more attractive than the other. The 6 assassins who were over level 20 had chosen the hard difficulty. They returned with a secret silver treasure chest but chose to hide the additional reward. This meant that the additional reward was even better than the secret silver treasure chest. After some thought about it, Shi Feng decided to bravely challenge it. A person who had been reincarnated should have courage. "Respected elder, I choose the hell difficulty." Shi Feng was confident he could manage this difficulty. If he could complete it, then it would have a great effect on his future developments. Ha ha ha. Young people sure are full of energy. I truly admire you, but be sure not to regret your choice. The elder disappeared after his hearty laughter. System. Quest. Past glory. Accepted. Face off against 1,000 monsters of the same level. Considered passed after killing 500 monsters. Time limit of 4 hours. Quest failure penalty. All attributes permanently reduced by 10 points. Attributes are the essence of a job. If Shi Feng's attributes were all reduced by 10 points, then he was as good as crippled. This penalty sure is ruthless.
Shi Feng's scalp started itching as he looked at the countless specter warriors appearing below the tower. The countdown started. There were 5 seconds remaining before the monsters attacked.
Specter Warrior, Common Monster. Level 2. HP 230.
Fighting against one of them would be easy. Against an ocean of them, however, even Shi Feng would start to panic. Rushing in was just plain suicide. Shi Feng would quickly become surrounded and killed. The only choice was to fight the monsters one by one. Shi Feng had a wealth of experience in battling.
He quickly ran down the tower and stood at the staircase.
The stairs only allowed 2 monsters to pass through at a time, so it was the best place to attack from.
Shi Feng would be able to clear this quest so long as he guarded the staircase.
Once the 5 seconds were up, every single specter warrior rushed the tower with wild abandon. However, the staircase was too narrow. As a result, they were blocking each other. Shi Feng only had to face 2 specter warriors at a time.
With regards to the warriors' attacks, Shi Feng could dodge them with relative ease.
Thundering Flash, Chop!
3 streaks of light flashed across, instantly causing a high damage of 60 to all specter warriors within a 2 by 10 yard area. The chop that followed dealt 33 damage.
Within an instant, the first specter warrior had only half of its HP remaining, whereas the tens of others behind had lost a quarter of their HP. Previously, Shi Feng faced off against high-leveled monsters with very high defense. The effects of Thundering Flash and Chop were both greatly reduced. Now that Shi Feng was facing monsters of the same level, Thundering Flash could vividly display its prowess as a powerful AoE damaging skill. With Thundering Flash's damage amplification effect, Shi Feng only needed 5 strikes from his sword to finish off the first specter warrior.
In order to increase his killing speed, Shi Feng activated Gravity Liberation to increase his attack speed. Coupled with the damage amplification, each warrior only needed 3 seconds to be dealt with. Unfortunately, the Spectre warriors did not give any experience. Instead, skill proficiency had a 100% chance to increase by 1 point. With every death of a Spectre warrior, Shi Feng's SP continuously increased. Shi Feng became very happy after seeing such a sight. The elderly NPC probably had not imagined that a level 2 swordsman would possess such a powerful AoE skill. With such a skill, Shi Feng feared crowd tactics the least. Shi Feng could also easily dodge attacks in a 1 versus 2 scenario. Other players would have most likely failed the quest, yet Shi Feng was able to complete it with perfection. After 2 hours had gone by, Thundering Flash had reached level 2 after its SP increased to 300 points. The skill's damage increased from 130% to 135%, and its cooldown reduced from 30 seconds to 28 seconds. Chop's SP had also increased to 426 600ths. It would reach level 3 with just a little more. Shi Feng's monster grinding speed increased once more after Thundering Flash reached level 2. The Spectre warriors fell in batches. When there were only 20 over warriors remaining, there was still an hour and a half remaining for the quest. With another use of Thundering Flash, the last remaining 20 Spectre warriors fell as well. Not bad. Here's your reward, youngster. The elder appeared once more with a chuckle. Looking at Shi Feng, the elder took out a fine gold treasure chest and a pitch-black longsword. System. Quest, Past Glory, completed. Rewarding 1 fine gold treasure chest, 1 magic weapon, job-related. Obtain title, Might of 1,000. Might of 1,000, title. When this title is in use, allies in a 30-yard radius will receive an attribute increase of 10%. Simultaneously, title user will obtain an additional effect of Strength +5 and Endurance +5. I've given you your reward. You can go now. The old man waved his hand after finishing his piece. Shi Feng's vision blurred. When he opened his eyes once more, he was back in the plaza of Red Leaf Town. D.
Shi Feng's system communication continuously rang.
Blackie was contacting him.
Brother Feng, you finally picked up.
How come I couldn't contact you before?
What should I do now?
I'm already behind others by a level. Blackie was extremely panicked.
However, he still patiently asked because he believed in Shi Feng.
He had wasted 7 hours just to run to Red Leaf Town. While he was still at level 0, the players that filled the streets were already level 1. How was he to make up for this gap?
Nobody would want him in a party now. Their minimum requirement was level 1.
A level 0 noob like him would just be pushed aside. My bad, I was doing a quest.
Come to the Central Plaza, I'll take you with me to level.
Shi Feng apologized.
It had already been over 8 hours since God's domain started, and Shi Feng had spent over 5 hours doing his quest. At this stage of the game, most players had already risen to level 1, while some professional players were already close to level 2. As a person who had been reincarnated, helping Blackie level up was an easy task. It wouldn't take long before Blackie would catch up to the professional players.
Chapter 10. Shi Feng observed his surroundings after hanging up on Blackie.
Seeing that nobody paid attention to his sudden arrival, he quickly entered an empty alley. Opening a fine gold treasure chest would definitely cause a commotion. Opening and showing off a fine gold treasure chest at the crowded plaza was a bold action.
It was something only noobs would do. Compared to the real world, there were no constraints within the game world.
It went without saying, the great powers in the game hungered for great treasures. If a player did not have the capability, one of the best case scenarios was one being killed back to level 0 for the treasure.
However, if the treasure did not drop out, then congratulations, you can only live in the city for the rest of your life.
While other players were out in the wild leveling up, the only thing you could do was to hang around in the city. After a few months, you could proudly be promoted to city guide. Shi Feng was not an assassin who was capable of stealth, hiding, and assassination. Currently, he did not have the sufficient strength to protect himself, so keeping a low profile was necessary.
Shi Feng quietly observed the empty alley for some time.
After he made sure nobody followed him, he took out the black longsword. Shi Feng's brows wrinkled when he looked at the black longsword. Abyssal blade, magic weapon.
Job requirement, swordsman.
Do you wish to bind the equipment?
Should I equip it or not? Shi Feng became frustrated when he looked at the abyssal blade. Shi Feng was very familiar with magic weapons. Magic weapons were different from normal equipment.
They did not have any rankings to differentiate them, and they were even rarer than legendary equipment. Its power was without question. However, a magic weapon was a double-edged sword.
This was because the weapon had a side effect called backlash.
If the player using the magic weapon was not cautious, a single mistake could cripple their account. In his previous life, there were a few experts in Star Moon Kingdom that became top-tier experts because of magic weapons.
Even during his peak, Shi Feng could only look up to them.
However, after a period of time, 2 of those experts crippled their accounts because they did not deal with the backlash properly. Their only choice was to start a new account. Forget it, let's just set it aside for now.
I can't take the risk right now.
Shi Feng shook his head as he kept the abyssal blade.
He had to earn 16,000 credits in 10 days. The pressure on him was huge.
If any mistakes were to happen, then all his efforts before would become wasted. Shi Feng took out the fine gold treasure chest. Shi Feng looked at the gold-plated treasure chest, unable to suppress the excitement in his heart. The secret silver treasure chest they brought out the last time already contained a pharmaceutical recipe and blacksmithing design.
I wonder what a fine gold treasure chest would give.
Shi Feng had been playing God's domain for 10 years now, and the number of fine gold treasure chests he had seen did not exceed 20.
Wars were fought over for every fine gold treasure chest. Shi Feng would not even dare to dream that he could be in possession of one. Shi Feng slowly opened the treasure chest. Suddenly, golden rays of light leaked out from the chest, illuminating the small alley. It would definitely be a dazzling beacon of light if it was nighttime. It would attract everyone's attention.
Not daring to take any risks, Shi Feng quickly retrieved all the items from the chest. The dazzling lights slowly faded away after the chest was emptied.
Fortunately, it was an empty alley, so nobody would notice the short period of radiance.
The settings for treasure chests in God's domain really are damned.
Luckily it's daytime here.
Shi Feng glanced at the treasure chest by his side, then shifted his gaze towards the 3 treasures in his hands.
There were 2 ancient books and a battle armor. The battle armor was a secret silver equipment. It was much worse than Shi Feng had imagined it to be. Sky armor, secret silver rank. Plate armor. Equipment requirement, strength 20. Equipment level, 5. Defense +2 5, strength +6, endurance +3, agility +3. Durability 30/30. Additional attribute, power weakening. Reduce physical damage received by 15% after equipping. Shi Feng became shocked after looking at the battle armor's attributes. Although the level of the equipment was a lot lower than the one in his previous life, its attributes were top tier. If it was worn by a warrior class, the high defense coupled with power weakening would make tanking physical bosses no longer a problem. If this armor was sold now, its price would definitely be astronomical. This is too great. Now I have armor for level 5. Shi Feng happily stored the sky armor. Swordsman wore plate armor as well.
When Shi Feng wore it at level 5, he could definitely become a shield warrior.
Shi Feng shifted his gaze to the 2 ancient books, becoming shocked once more when he saw their names. Book of Forging, and Records of Potions. These 2 were both extremely rare treasured books.
Everyone knew that forging and potion making were extremely hard to learn.
Every forging master and potion master were the symbols of strength of a guild.
Even Shadow, a guild that possessed 10 city-states, only had 2 forging masters and 5 potion masters. Every one of them was treated like princes. With these 2 books, Shi Feng could create a forging master and a potion master. I remember there being a hidden quest in Dark Moon Valley. Not only would it teach forging for free, it would also reward a forging talent. If I had both the forging talent and Book of Forging, I could quickly become an advanced forging apprentice. Then I could make bronze equipment and earn a lot of money. Shi Feng recalled a member of Shadow called Hammer Trading. The person had become a forging master because he completed that hidden quest. Dark Moon Valley was a level 4 monster area. The quest as well was a difficult one and would take up a lot of time. It seems I have to buy some items and make proper preparations. Shi Feng stored the 2 books and sent a mail to Blackie, telling him to meet up at the trade area. Shi Feng then headed to the trade area, himself. At this time, there were quite a lot of players at the trade area. Players who were tired of killing monsters would come to the trade area to rest, having a drink and chatting. There were also players selling their loot from grinding. Shi Feng searched for an empty spot, covering the ground with a piece of white cloth. He placed down the equipment and herbs he picked, starting his stall. The level 4 common cloth armor was priced at 1 silver 20 coppers, while the bronze shield was priced at 21 silvers. It was a fair and cheap price at this stage of the game. Rare herbs, high-level equipment, those interested come and take a look. Shi Feng shouted. There were quite a number of players in the trade area. However, most of them were selling materials such as herbs, ore, etc. Until now, there had not been a single player selling equipment. Shi Feng's shout immediately became everyone's focus. It can't be. There really is equipment. A bronze shield even. What unbelievable luck. I don't even have common equipment yet he's already got a piece of bronze equipment? This is level 5 equipment. Is this a joke? I'm not seeing things, right? What's so great about it? Don't forget, there was an expert that killed the town mayor. That was a level 15 elite.
Now nobody can receive a quest from the town mayor.
Some players that received the town mayor's quest are also fuming with rage. All of them want to eat that expert alive.
21 silvers, this price is too high. I don't even have 1% of that money. The surrounding players were all in shock.
God's domain hadn't been open for 10 hours till now, yet someone could obtain such top-tier equipment. The most unbelievable part was that it was even being sold. It should be known that most guilds and workshops would wear the equipment they obtained, increasing their advantage as much as possible.
They would definitely not sell them.
Right now, players were, on average, level 1.
Level 5 equipment was something impossible to imagine, not to mention a level 5 bronze shield.
However, 21 silvers was too high of a price. The income of the average player did not exceed 20 coppers, and 21 silvers equaled 2100 coppers.
It was an impossible price for them to shoulder. Shi Feng silently smiled as he looked at the increasing number of spectating players.
He never hoped for these average players to buy it.
What he wanted was the advertising effect. It was only a moment before a party of players rushed over. Leading them was a shield warrior. Give way, give way. Now that we, Shadow, are here, we are buying everything on the stall.
Everybody else can just leave. The party members of Shadow created a path for the shield warrior to walk through. Shi Feng sent them a glance, discovering that the shield warrior was someone he knew.
The man was called Flaming Tiger. He was the team leader for Shadow in Red Leaf Town. In his previous life, Shi Feng was constantly used as cannon fodder, preventing him from rapidly rising. Flaming Tiger was responsible for 3/10 of that effort. Shi Feng never thought he would meet up with this man so quickly.
You the stall owner?
Flaming Tiger became excited as he looked at the blue cross-shaped shield. He then looked at Shi Feng. He did not have the observing eyes skill, so he could not tell Shi Feng's level.
However, Shi Feng was only clad in novice equipment, and he did not have any guild's insignia on him. He was definitely just an average player. Obtaining such equipment should be due to good luck. Shi Feng nodded his head saying, "That's right. Good. I want everything here for 1 silver.
Flaming Tiger proudly stated.
He said it as if everything on the stall was just unworthy garbage, and that giving 1 silver for them was looking up to 1.
I don't negotiate prices. Please don't hinder my business by acting like a lord.
Shi Feng did not get angry, choosing to ignore Flaming Tiger.
At this moment, Flaming Tiger's face became livid.
He glared at Shi Feng, coldly saying, "Are you sure you want to oppose us, Shadow?
I'll give you one more chance, think carefully before you speak."
Suddenly, all 5 other members of Shadow surrounded Shi Feng. Shi Feng rolled his eyes at Flaming Tiger, saying in a straightforward manner, "Fools." He actually dared to threaten Shi Feng inside Red Leaf Town.
Did he not know it was prohibited to take action inside a town?
You're courting death.
Flaming Tiger raged, both his eyes turning blood red. He couldn't help but want to kill Shi Feng right this instant. Ha ha ha, truly interesting. A level 5 bronze shield.
How could us Assassin's Alliance be left out?
Another group of over 10 players came at this moment.
Every player wore the Assassin's Alliance's insignia.
The person who spoke up was Stabbing Heart.
He became shocked when he saw the stall owner. He did not expect to see Shi Feng, the expert who had cleared the bronze prize challenge in a single try. Shi Feng had even obtained a level 5 bronze shield now, so he had definitely killed a high-leveled elite monster.
Stabbing Heart became even more respectful of Shi Feng. Here's 24 silver, I want everything here. Let's become friends.
The next time you have any good equipment, you must consider us, Assassin's Alliance. Stabbing Heart handed over the 24 silvers without hesitation.
Although it was not easy for the guild to collect these 24 silvers, it was definitely worth it if he could become friends with an expert like Shi Feng. Alright. Since you're so straightforward, I won't ask for the 50 coppers anymore. I'll contact you in the future. Shi Feng understood stabbing heart's intention. It wasn't a bad deal if he could cooperate with such a large guild.
Meanwhile, the surrounding players were shocked by Assassin Alliance's overwhelming air, handing over 24 silvers without batting an eye.
Now, this was a large guild. Such an action had made a lot of players wanting to sign up for the guild. Compared to the Assassin's Alliance, there was no future in joining a guild like Shadow. Everybody sent looks of contempt over to them.
After being looked down upon by Shi Feng, then being given a slap by the Assassin's Alliance, Flaming Tiger's face became beet red.
His eyes nearly crackled from anger. He called over an assassin, coldly saying, "Quiet Wolf, you keep an eye on that kid.
I'll let him know what happens when he opposes Shadow." On the other side, Shi Feng had long since left the scene.
He was currently purchasing items around the trade area. He now held 24 silvers on his person. It was an amount even greater than the total wealth of an average guild. Now that Shi Feng was an absolute tycoon, he started buying things without a single care. He bought 20 bottles of black steel beer, each costing 25 coppers. He bought 30 smoke bombs, each costing 20 coppers. He bought 100 apple pies, each costing 5 coppers. Eating it recovered 30 HP every second, lasting 10 seconds. He bought 100 magic water, each costing 5 coppers. Drinking it recovered 30 megapixels every second, lasting 10 seconds.
Shi Feng spent a lot of his wealth within an instant, leaving him with only 3 silvers. "Brother Feng, you finally decided to show up. What are we going to do now?" Blackie had been waiting in the trade area for some time now.
He wore a dark expression on his face, and his eyes were filled with resentment.
God's domain had already been opened for over 9 hours now. Aside from obtaining an Explorer title, Blackie did not obtain anything else.
He was nearing the point of dying from depression. "Let's go grind some monsters then."
Shi Feng smiled, sending Blackie a party request.